I'd like to call the meeting to order and apologize for being a little late. Barbara, could you please call the roll?
We have Commissioners Sales, Moss, Noonan, and Parfait present.
This proceeding will be broadcast, as you all know, on Channel 35. Let's start with our recognition of our employees who participated in the Hurricane Sandy recovery efforts. I think that's Mr. Benjamin.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. We have a group of our representative of our employee here today, and then we'll move into recognizing them. Before we do that, though, I'd like to take a minute and recognize the management team and their great effort in putting this whole operations together. And they, this group of people spent a lot of hours to make sure that the safety of the crews and the well-being and the operations, the details of the operations were taken care of. And they have shown, to me, it was a great pride to see all of them work together in a way that brings a great pride to this department and to the workforce and to the entire city of Los Angeles. So I'd like to kind of recognize the head of our distribution division, Daryl Buckley, who showed the great leadership skills and pulled this team together. So I'd like the management team to kind of stand up so we can recognize each one of them. We also had assistant to Daryl was Mark Hollister, and the person that was the three managers that were in charge at the Long Island operations was Jeff Caravu, Andy Kendall, and Jay Puklowitz, who were on the ground with the crews at all times, trying to make sure all the operations details was taken care of. And Andy Kendall couldn't make it, but Jeff and Jay Puklowitz are here, and we thank them very much for doing that job over there. We also had Walter Rodriguez as one of our supervisors who was in safety and training. He's with it amongst the and then we had Mark Berenbach, Duke Thompson, Dennis Walls, and Anthony Delgado. They also were part of the team on taking care of the logistics and the operational details behind the scenes. So we thank them also. Thank you very much, and we really appreciate all your efforts.
I think we have the pleasure of having our city council person from the 4th District here. It's always a pleasure for him to come.
It's always special to be here, but it's always special to recognize those who answer the call. I know management and the safety, which is so important on all of that, but as we all in our day-to-day lives, we run into people in Los Angeles, and I'll never forget how people walk up to me and tell me when a city unit does a great job. In talking to Mr. Nichols when he was over successfully arguing Water and Power's point, this was right as the hurricane was in its days of challenges. And I asked him, and he said, we're ready if we're ready. And I didn't know how the board was meeting or what the business did. Council passed an emergency motion. And Mr. Benjamin always, one call, 1-800, Aaron Benjamin, things get done. And all of it fell into line. But I can tell you what's so special is when people walk up to me and they watch the TV and they say, I saw Los Angeles, whether it was in New Orleans, whether it was in Northern California, whether it's some part of the West, or in this case in Long Island, New York. That's very special as a city, that we stood up for another part of the country to help in this. And the trauma. And I always tell the story after the '94 earthquake, Mr. President. It was the DWP in 3 days had power back, mostly to the rest of the city because how the system of transmission works around the city. 3 days after that trauma. And now you see the challenges is setting in the east. They don't have the weather we have here in the west, but they do have the challenges that are greater. So I wanted to personally stop by. And Daryl, come here, Daryl. I know Mr. Parker used to have this job, right? Parker have your job?
He was there, yeah.
Well, he was good. I know, Greg Mathis and Parker and everybody, which was good. It takes a quarterback, okay? And in the field, that's where it happens. Where in the field, it happens to get it done for the people. So I just wanted to stop by and thank the Department of Water and Power, the power section, the crews that went there. And I hope you really sit down with your families, and I'm sure you have, told them how interesting it was and challenging it was. And it's part of your resume now. You answered the call. So I just wanted to thank you. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate that. And I'm going to continue on my way.
If you can stay for a couple seconds, we'd like to take some pictures if you give us 1 second.
Sure, thank you.
Aram, anything else you want to add?
If I can
to
ask
this?
Daryl to kind of bring up the crews and say a couple words
Yes.
about the operations. We do have a certificate for each of the employees that Daryl will read the sample of it.
All right, if I can get the guys to go ahead and stand up over here, because
Come up to the front.
very proud.
Stand behind you.
Come behind Daryl.
Stand behind you. Don't be shy now. I know these are not shy guys. So.
All of that.
Come on up.
They're very camera shy.
Yeah.
I did bring I do have a couple of slides today. This is the first of the two. It's a picture of all 62 of the employees that attended the East Coast and in the storm restoration process, and very, very proud of what those guys did while they were out there. What we have today representing the folks here is we have 7 operating districts where we selected 2 of the candidates from each of those operating districts to represent the folks that were there. So that's what you see behind us today. I'm very, very proud, to have these IBW brothers representing me and our division and our Department of Water and Power, because they did a phenomenal job while they were on the East Coast. They showed some professionalism, dedication, and this was from the very moment that we asked for help from the guys all the way through the end of the process. Never once did anybody complain about any of the situations they were dealing with. They just stepped right in. I've got to thank all you guys and your families, for volunteering to provide the assistance over to the East Coast and to help out the families that were devastated, and of course that were without power, and something that we could assist in. You guys did a great job. You displayed a tremendous amount of goodwill and craftsmanship, and even though you worked long hours and under adverse conditions, you got this done. Your work was recognized by the LIPA and National Grid staff. They continually, on a daily basis, were totally amazed and impressed by the amount of work that our crews were accomplishing. They just couldn't tell you how much accolades and praise that these guys were getting behind the scenes, to our managers that were over the East Coast. We also received a number of emails and letters from the LIPA customers directly that showed their appreciation of what they did. I did bring one sample of a letter that was sent in, and I just wanted to share that with everybody today. It said, to the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, I am very grateful, homeowner in Seaford, New York, on Long Island. When Hurricane Sandy hit our area a few weeks ago, little did I know how long I would be without power. After 10 days without electricity and heat, I was so thankful when I saw your crew arrive on my street. Not only did they work for 3 to 4 days of 12-hour shifts to help us, they worked through a snowy nor'easter that dumped 5 to 6 inches of snow. So, here we got our Los Angeles crews that aren't accustomed to working in this kind of a condition, and we're out there and continue to work through it as if it was just a normal day for them. My husband and I were so impressed with their dedication, endless effort to restore our electrical power during such harsh weather conditions. And when I saw the snowman, and I'm going to put that up. Uh-oh. There it is. It says that when I saw the snowman they built, we couldn't do anything but laugh, and boy did we need it. I just want to thank all you that came to our aid and helped us get our lives back to some kind of normalcy. We here on Long Island will never forget your kindness, helpfulness, and never-ending work to help restore the electric in some very difficult times will always be appreciated. Thank you for your helping us in our hour of need. May God bless you all. Sincerely, Karen Maloney. We received a number of these types of comments throughout the process, And again, it was something to be very, very proud of for the amount of work they did. We have, I'm going to go ahead and it's going to take me just a quick second here. I'm going to rattle off the names of the folks that are represented here today. Sean Monahan, Eric Jacobson, John Russo. Sean Nicola, Pat Potts, Randolph Bowen, Preston Morales, Patrick Adams, Calvin Weeb, Anthony Benz, Lucian Patanod, Edgar Marcial, Ernesto Ibarra, Juan Marufo, Juan Villarreal, Melvin Young, Miguel Lopez, and Mark Burtick. And what you have represented today, or what we sent, was 5 line crews, 2 heavy high voltage line clearance tree trimming crews, and we had some mechanics with support. And so we have representatives from all of them here today. I also would like to thank a few other people that are not here, or some of them may be here, but especially want to thank our brothers at IBW, Gus Corona, Russ Buteau, and Martin Marufo, who worked with us, getting this orchestrated and getting this done and getting it moved forward. I have to recognize Shannon Pasquale, Gene Camachi with our ITS group, who helped establish a hotline for the families, Joe Romalo and Brooks Baker and Terry Schneider with our public relations, and we're diligent in getting out the hurricane updates that we were sending out on a daily basis. Al Garcia, Lisa Hayes with our Office of Emergency Management, Gwen Williams, Lou Feldemeyer, who helped us with the supply chain matters, Andrew Versey and Nancy Swan in accounting, Rhoda, Luke Janik, and Deborah Gilbert, who were tremendous in getting a lot of the purchasing issues done that we needed on a rush basis. Of course, Randy Howard with his connections and being able to get to a lot of these other entities that we needed some help with. And on our admin side is Karen Grime, Robin Jeffrey, and Patty Sigala, who really helped make this a success program. So again, what I want to do is just go ahead and read one of the certificates that we will be presenting to all of our employees. I think I got one here somewhere. All right, so I've got one. I got one that I'll read here, and this is on behalf of obviously our commission, Ron Nichols, Aaron Benjamin, and myself. It says, certificate of appreciation is awarded to each of you guys for your generosity of time and spirit restoring power to thousands of people in Long Island, New York, who were left in the dark by Hurricane Sandy in November 2012. You made the repairs safely and swiftly despite working on a foreign electrical system. Also, while participating in a nationwide utility mutual assistance effort, you demonstrated exemplary craftsmanship and professionalism and represented the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power with the distinction. The department proudly salutes you. And I will be presenting each of our employees these certificates at their district quarterly safety meetings or safety meetings in recognition. But again, I'm, as a director of power system transmission and distribution, I cannot be more proud of what these guys did and what they displayed and the way that they represented the Department of Water and Power in the times of need for the folks over at the East Coast. So with that, congratulations to all of you guys. You did a great job.
Wait, don't leave. We need pictures. So, you guys come up, take some pictures.
Where do we want them for the picture? Right up here?
Up here. Up here. Back
All the way
to
around.
here.
Going around, guys.
Christina, grab. Push it back over here.
Good to meet you. Thank you so much for being here. It's amazing, extraordinary. Thank you very much. Anyway, wherever you stand. Tom, John.
Jonathan? Hey.
Come on in. How are you? Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Come on, guys. Keep going. We'll get two rows. You guys get kind of close together. I know.
We do two
We'll
rows.
make this work somehow.
Okay. It's good if you can turn on the side and do like a shoe. Okay. That's about right there.
Yeah, keep going.
Don't be shy. Thank you very much.
All right, we're gonna make this work, right?
Yeah,
I'm gonna make this work.
Come on in.
I hope you got a real wide lens.
Yes, we do. Excited about you, Russ.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Just come on in. This side, turn this way a little bit and come in. This side, turn a little bit. And squeeze in, get friendly. Okay, here we go. All right, very nice. Okay, come on in. There you go. That's good. Just come on in. Very good. Okay. This. Okay, here's the first one. Big smile, that's good. See how that looks. Okay. Here we go again. Very nice, big smile. Okay. Good again. Here we go, that's good. A couple more. Look right up here, it's good. And one last one. Right up here, good smile. Excellent, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, yep. That was good.
Got it.
Cost saving, right? Aaron, I think you have a resolution.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to let Randy Howard present, but what we have is Dr. Mo Bashir from our power system planning group. He's retiring after 32 years, and Mo has been an exemplary employee and an engineer and a researcher, and he's taking a job with the University of Southern California as a full-time professor. But I'll let Randy introduce Mo and his family.
So why don't you come on up here, Mo? So we have the opportunity to celebrate and recognize Dr. Bashir on his retirement, as you heard, for 32 years at the department. He is leaving to head USC's power engineering program as a professor of electrical engineering and electrophysics. He does have his family. Before I get started, maybe you can introduce your family real quickly.
Thank you, Randy. My wife, Asia, you want to, and my son, Hussein, he worked for the DWP as well.
Why don't you guys come up, all of you?
Yes.
His son, Hussein, is an engineer with the power system also. And I told everybody that wants to retire, they need to follow Mo's. Look at the resemblance. Just replacing.
Leave somebody behind. And my other son, Fuad, he's goes to UC Riverside. And my daughter, Sarah, she is at USC. And my other, Zakaria and Ramzi, they are still in middle school. So, your sister? And my sister, I'm sorry. My sister, Suza Bashir.
So Mo, in his 32 years, has done quite a lot to contribute to the power system. He has been primarily involved over his 32 years in the development and planning activities of the department. He is known throughout the industry as an expert in HVDC systems, and the department has some of the largest transmission systems of HVDC. He's requested numerous times, or people ask him often to speak at conferences regarding the technology, as he is recognized as a leader. He's been involved recently in the Intermountain Power Upgrade Project, the Barron Ridge Transmission Project, the development of our initial IRP planning process. He's been developed in the grant writing and the receiving of the grants related to the stimulus package. He was involved in the building of Pine Tree, in the solar projects and the interconnections. He's negotiated lots of our contracts and been involved in many of our key activities in kicking off our renewable energy. We are going to miss him much in our system, and he has also spent numerous hours mentoring and teaching lots of our new engineers and sharing that knowledge. More recently, he's held a number of courses in HVDC and stuff, trying to transfer that knowledge. And we know he's only going to be down the street and a phone call away, and we will make those phone calls. So again, we want to recognize him for all of his contributions to the department, and I believe we have a resolution back here to present. And I think if we'd like to do that now.
I would do that. Okay. Before that, I think, would any of the commissioners like to make a comment? If not, I would. Mo, I want to thank you for your support. You've had a long and extraordinarily distinguished career. You obviously have a wonderful family. You are moving from two of my families. You are moving from my DWP family, where my father worked for 30 years, to my USC family. So we welcome you there. I think you will make a significant contributions to the university, and fight on.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution.
Is there a second?
There is.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? It passes. Please come up and take pictures. Congratulations. Here's everyone. Sister, you too.
After the presentation, I can come out of order and do a presentation.
So next.
Congratulations. Just luck at SC.
Thank you. Congratulations. How are you? How are you?
Congratulations.
Thank you for sharing your husband with us. Hey, how are you?
Okay. We can have people come over right up in here. Yeah, right there. That's good. Just like that. Yeah, that's come on over. Come on over.
Right there. I can see over you. Okay?
Come over.
Go block.
There you go. Excellent. Great. Come over one. There you go, Aram. Very nice.
Come on, Aram.
Okay, Aram. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Very good. That's very good. It's okay. Here we go. Whole resolution.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
There we go. There we go. Well, you and I don't think.
Take care of that. Okay, very nice.
Come back here.
Okay.
I'm doing the family photo.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's see. All right. Here's the first one. Big smile, everyone. See how that looks. Okay, here we go again. Very nice. Big smile again. That's good right there. Okay. Here we go again. That's good. And one more time. Big smile. Here we go. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
Congratulations. So when do you start? I'll see you on campus. Come by and say hello.
I would do that definitely. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Can I take that slide?
Okay. Congratulations. Is that okay?
I still have all my books.
What year are you?
Great.
Enjoy it.
Okay, and my son lives here. Yeah,
Did you have Professor Hancock in class?
No, not yet.
You really should. That's the rough. Really nice. Yes. Aram, are we
More sweet for him than bitter.
more sweet for him then? Anything else? Are we good? We're going to take item 20 out of order now. Is that what we're going to do?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have there's no speaker card.
No
right?
speaker cards for 20.
Okay.
No.
Item 20, which we're going to take out of order.
We have Jeff Keitlinger, the general manager of the Metropolitan Water District, is going to give us a brief presentation on the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. And following Jeff's presentation, I'll have a short presentation to talk about specific impacts for the Department of Water and Power.
Why don't we wait just a second, let people get situated while you guys get set up.
Press the black button in the middle, I think. I won't touch it.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commissioners. Mr. Nichols has asked that I would come and do this presentation, so we will be giving you an update on the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. I'm the General Manager of Metropolitan Water District, Southern California, of which, of course, Department of Water and Power is one of the original founding members of Metropolitan. So, as I'm sure many of you are aware, the Bay Delta Conservation Plan is the state of California's plan working in conjunction with the United States and stakeholders, including Metropolitan, to come up with a plan to make the State Water Project and the Central Valley projects function better as we try to move water through the Bay Delta north to south in Southern California. Quick backdrop on who Metropolitan is. We are the regional water wholesaler for the region. We serve 6 counties, 19 million people, of which Los Angeles is one of our members. 5,200 square mile service area, basically $1 trillion economy, and Metropolitan supplies about 55% of the region's supply of water. When you couple that with the imported water that the city of Los Angeles brings in from the Owens Valley, another 5 to sometimes 10%, it means Southern California's water is almost 2/3 of Southern California's water is moving 250 to 400 miles to supply our drinking water in Southern California. So it's imported from quite a distance. The basic makeup of Southern California's water supply, 25% comes from the Colorado River through the Colorado River Aqueduct that was originally designed by William Mulholland and that Metropolitan owns and operates. 30% of our water comes from the State Water Project, which is water that is moved through the Delta, which is the focus of this. The other 45% is local, although in that local supply, we count the Los Angeles Aqueduct from Owens Valley as well. Here's just a map showing where, again, that water is coming from. As you can see, it's coming from east to west in the red line, the Colorado River Aqueduct, north to south, the green line through the State Water Project, and then, of course, the City of Los Angeles' aqueduct, and then quite a bit of Los Angeles local water throughout Southern California. We are very blessed in Southern California to have very productive basins, particularly San Fernando, San Gabriel, Orange County basins, and that is where the other 40–45% of Southern California's water is local rainwater captured and then moved in and out of our groundwater basins. So here's kind of a pictorial timeline that gives you a feel for what the Delta looked like. And as you can see it zooming in, this historically is what the Delta looked like, and it's obviously a very different configuration today. But you can see it's marsh habitat. The canals are not really created yet. This is originally, it's mostly marsh, and as you can see, it's a perfect habitat for waterfowl, for fish species, and it's obviously, this is an undisturbed, this would be 200 years ago. This is what the Delta looked like. And then over time, we began reclaiming it, and that was the push from the federal government and our state government to begin reclaiming marshland and turn it into farmland. And so while you can see it's one of the largest estuaries in the United States, and certainly in the West, this is what happened over time. Over time, we drained the marshland, making it not useful habitat for species, but turning it into very productive farmland. And as you can see, this has developed from the time of the railroads. Many of the original work there was done by original railroad workers for the Transcontinental Railroad. And now, as you see it today, this is what it looks like today. Very active farmland with some very large water areas, and subsided tremendously. And that is one of the big threats we have. It's most of it, quite large chunks of it, 20 to 30 feet below sea level today. And as you can see, the aqueducts, or our canals that move through it, have been raised above the land. And that puts us at quite a bit of risk. Any of these fail, they get flooded. The area gets completely flooded because as the area has been farmed, the soil oxidizes and it all moves below sea level. So the delta is really the confluence of a number of rivers, but primarily the Sacramento and San Joaquin River, and it moves, it really is the hub of California's water. Some 25 million Californians get their water supply in some way, shape, or form through the delta, and that includes the Bay Area, includes the Central Valley, and includes us in Southern California. People like this. It's irrigation for over half the nation's fruits and vegetables. I used to say fruits and nuts, but everyone said that's too Californian, so I changed it to fruits and vegetables. But we produce something like 75–80% of the world's almonds and pistachios as well. So it's a remarkable productive farming land, the Central Valley. The Bay Area gets about a third of its water, but Silicon Valley is over 50–60% of its water from the Delta. Central Valley, anywhere from 25–90%, and as we said, Southern California here, we get close to a third. Here's the makeup of the actual water that hits the Delta. About half of it goes to the ocean in a typical year. About 30% of it is used upstream before it even reaches the Delta. That includes urban uses like City of San Francisco, the East Bay area. They intercept their water before it hits the Delta and they move it through their own aqueducts and canals that bypass the Delta. 4% of the water is used by farming within the Delta, and 17% is exported, and that includes Silicon Valley, the Central Valley, and here in Southern California, the MWD slice of that is 4% of that 17. Now, it's an incredibly valuable ecosystem, which gets us to one of the real stresses we have today. Over 750 plant, bird, animal species here, many of them original and unique to the Delta. So the main areas of risks in the Delta have been the Endangered Species Act, which is fishery declines. We just picked one of the species here because it's the one always in the news, the Delta smelt. As you can see, that sort of its abundance has gone up and down quite a bit, but in recent years, quite a bit down. Subsidence, we talked about that briefly. As farming continues, the Delta shrinks 1 inch, 2.5 inches a year. That's the soil oxidizing off, pushing it below sea level, making it very vulnerable to flooding. Sea level rises, pushing salt inland ever deeper and further, and that also exacerbates the subsidence. And then seismic risk. Those levees that we showed you were all built by hand over a century ago. They were not engineered levees. These are not Army Corps of Engineers levees. They weren't up to the standard of the levees that were protecting New Orleans and Katrina. So they are very vulnerable. And as you can see, that list of seismic area, we have dozens of faults running through it. So this is a quick timeline of what would happen. This was created by UC Davis. What would happen and the USGS working together if a major earthquake, and they mean major by being mid-6s and higher, which we don't consider huge in California. What happens is these levees that you see there in the red, they start liquefying. And this is sort of a simulation of what happens to these levees that are built out of peat moss liquefy. Once they shake enough, the water just goes right through it. And the water, because this is all above sea level, just immediately floods in. So it starts out, the fresh water in the canals, that's the source of our drinking water, starts to fill up these levee islands. And we call them islands, but they're really holes because they're actually below sea level. And this would be a timeline of what's happening after an earthquake over the first 8 hours. And slowly but surely, all these levees have been crumbling, and as they go to liquefaction, and you see the water start rushing in, all the fresh water. Now, the real problem for us is not so much the fresh water that's come in here, but because what's happened is all that vacated farmland that is now being flooded out is taking up all the fresh water. And then the seawater, which has nowhere to go, starts pushing in with the tide. And so right in this graphic, it's depicted in the red. And this shows the first, we picked July 1, just as a date, a starting point for the simulation exercise with the Geologic Survey. And it basically shows within 48 hours, 72 hours, it's all salt water. And because we don't drink salt water very well, it basically knocks out of production the entire State Water Project and Central Valley Project from providing water to the Central Valley, the Bay Area, and Southern California. So in response to these threats, in 2009, Metropolitan, working with its member agencies, teamed up with the Schwarzenegger administration in developing the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. To date, we've invested about all state collectively in this planning effort, about $175 million to date in the planning effort alone. And then July 25th of this year, and DWP and City of LA were supporters of the 2009 package that began the Bay Delta Conservation Planning process. And July 25th, Governor Brown, working with Ken Salazar, Secretary Laird, all announced a preferred plan as to what they want to do to fix the Delta. And it basically is three main issues. One is a new conveyance system that would protect and separate drinking water from ecosystem. It would be large-scale habitat restoration, up to 113,000 acres of habitat restoration. This would be on the scale of something like the Florida Everglades or the Chesapeake Bay. And then a number of actions to reduce and eliminate the stressors that are eliminating our native fish supply. The big issue that people is very controversial, of course, is this new water conveyance. It would be 2 tunnels, roughly 35 miles long, 40-foot barrel tunnels. There's been remarkable strides in tunnels that have been made in the last 20 years around the world, and this is now state-of-the-art technology. This would be about 150 foot deep, and it would protect the water supply of the state of California from both seismic risk and from climate change, sea level rise, et cetera. Total cost of it, it would be, there'd be 3 pumping plants. They're going to be gravity flow, and the total cost of this would be roughly, right now the cost estimate for that is $14 billion, and that would be spread over that 25 million Californians and over 3 to 4 million acres of farmland. On the habitat piece, this 113,000 gets broken up into all sorts of habitat, but primarily trying to create a lot of new tidal habitat that has been eroded over the years. As we said, the Delta used to be 500,000 acres of marshland, and we're trying to at least restore up to 60-some thousand acres of new marsh for the species. And then trying to tackle some of the other problems. Toxic pollutants, runoff, invasive species. We track new salmon. We call them smolts. We can see them go downstream, and then we see them immediately reverse stream and go upstream, and we realize they've been eaten by striped bass, and they're going up the stream. And that happens to over something like well over half of them. We have to do predator control and look at the hatchery planning that we're doing. And finally, there's a number of other things that we've pledged to do with the governor, and that's protecting the upstream water uses and working with the Delta communities to make sure that they are preserved in their fashion. The costs, $14 billion for the new conveyance system. That's to be borne by water users, which means Metropolitan paying about 25% of that, and then the City of Los Angeles paying their share of Metropolitan's piece of that, which is somewhere in the 15% range of our 25% range. All other people, you're seeing Central Valley Agriculture paying a significant piece of this, and the Bay Area and the Silicon Valley paying their share as well. It's going to be on a bucket-for-bucket basis. Average cost for a typical user in Southern California homeowner, $5 to $6 a month once everything's said and done over a 15-year build-up period. We took a look at it in comparison to some others. Bay Delta Conservation Plan, $14 billion, serves 25 million people, 3 million acres of agriculture. San Francisco is just now finishing up a seismic restoration of their Hetch Hetchy system, $4.6 billion, but spread over 2.5 million people. Per capita cost over triple. And the typical San Franciscan homeowner's bill has seen their bill triple from doing this, but it is going to make their system much more earthquake-proof. Contra Costa, very similar, doing their seismic program. And if you look at, if you just look at the MWD share of it, again, it's relatively in cost in alignment with what we've done here in Southern California as we built our Diamond Valley Reservoir, as we built our inland feeder projects. Those were all very expensive projects, but they've helped us get through it. If you look at where we are today as where we were 20 years ago, 20 years ago, Southern California was very heavily reliant, almost 2/3 to 3/4 reliant on imported water every year, dry year, wet year, normal year. Now what we've done is we've pushed very heavily in conservation. We've invested tens of millions of dollars in conservation as Metropolitan. DWP's matched that investment in the City of LA service area. It's a remarkable story. We import today, as Southern California, less water in 2010, 2012 than we did in 1990. But we've gone from 14 million to 19 million people. The City of LA relies less on imported water than they did in 1990, and they've added 1 million people just within the city alone. Just here's a glance at some of the investments that our region has invested in throughout recycling facilities, conservation. We've added up all those numbers. You're close to 1.2 million acre-feet a year in between conservation, recycling, and groundwater recovery. Put that in perspective, our entire Colorado River Aqueduct, which was the basis for forming Southern California, it was really the backbone of Southern California's water supply, holds 1.2 million acre-feet. So we've matched our entire Colorado River supply in conservation and recycling over the last 20 years. So choices are status quo. We continue to stick with an ecosystem decline. Right now we have 30%, we've lost 30% of the State Water Project that has been taken away primarily due to the Endangered Species Act. We're also very concerned with that earthquake scenario that we looked at, and the estimate is that could be a $40 billion hit to Southern California's economy if that earthquake were to disrupt our water supply from 1 to 3 years. So we're looking at challenges to replace it. One of the most important things to the State Water Project supply is it's very low in dissolved solids. That helps us keep all our groundwater basins fresh. It helps our recycling programs work. It's really hard to do recycled programs strictly based on our Colorado River supplies. For example, our Colorado River supplies are 600 to 700 parts per million total dissolved solids. State Water Project, less than 200. Here's a partial list of people that are organizations that are involved in creating this. You see environmental organizations, certainly the federal agencies, the state agencies, the public water agencies, the Brown administration entirely on board with this. A huge list of supporters, labor, et cetera, agriculture. And so we are trying to finish this program real quickly. January of 2013 is when the entire document is going to be released. It's been $175 million getting it to this point. It's 17,000 pages. We're going to read it very closely. Staff is going to read it very closely. And then May of 2013, there's going to be a public draft on the street for review and comment by agencies. And then there is going to, the goal is to have a record of decision, notice of determination that will be signed by Governor Brown and the Secretary of the Interior by end of 13. And so it's a pretty big crossroads for California. We've looked at this issue 3 times over the last 100 years, and Governor Brown is committed to bringing it forward this year, and so there will certainly be a lot of attention focused on where is Southern California water in terms of moving this process forward. Thank you very much.
Questions, or Jim, anything you want to add to this?
I had a few more slides I wanted to cover maybe if I can get Reggie to cue up my presentation. I just wanted to put a little bit of local context on some of Mr. Keitlinger's comments. I want to talk a little bit about our dependence on imported supplies, kind of the difference between a typical year and dry year scenarios. Jeff touched on that a little bit. I want to talk a little bit more about how that looks for Los Angeles, and then our ongoing efforts to ensure a reliable supply and local, based on increasing local supplies. So here you see the sources of supply. I think Jeff covered that pretty well. One thing I want to emphasize on this graph, you see that the Los Angeles Aqueduct are the blue bars. That's each bar is a year, and the green is the water that we get from Metropolitan. You can see how much variability this is. So we talk about in a typical year we buy 53% of our water from Metropolitan. As you can tell, I dare you to find a typical year in there anyway. So we really have to prepare for the wet years and the dry years, and some of the extremes in 2008, 2009. LADWP was 71% dependent on MWD. LA Aqueduct was only 18%. In 95, 96, LA Aqueduct supplied 76%, and we only bought 11% from MWD. So it's not just about averages. We have to be looking at extremes. This should be a familiar picture. This is from our Urban Water Management Plan. We're very proud of this one. As you know, we're going to be significantly diversifying our supply. One of our goals was to reduce our purchases from MWD by about half in the next 25 years. We've been coordinating very closely with MET, and actually MET is very supportive of that. And they're helping us finance many of these local supply initiatives that you see over on the right-hand side: recycled water, additional conservation, stormwater capture, and groundwater development. But that does not come without a cost. The transformation that you see there has a price tag of between $2.5 and $3 billion over the next 25 years. So that's not an insignificant investment to get to that point. And you'll recall that your board directed us to accelerate and enhance those local supply developments, and we're working on coming back to you with an even more aggressive program than that. But there will be a price tag associated with that. One of the important things to note, though, is that we're still dependent for about a quarter of our water supply in a typical year, even with all that local supply development, on this water from Metropolitan. Now, if you look at dry years, you got a single dry year on the left and the multiple dry year on the right, and the light blue wedge in the upper left-hand corner is what we're looking at to get from Metropolitan in a dry year. So you can see in a single dry year it's 54%, and in multiple dry years you've got about a 44%. So we're even more dependent on Metropolitan when we get into dry year scenarios. So it's very important that we maintain a reliable supply coming from our imported supplies. Some of the challenges that we have on our local water supply development, and we've talked a lot about these, I'm not going to dwell on them, but water conservation can't be done without the local, or water conservation can be done without the other local water supply options, but all the others are going to depend on groundwater cleanup. Our groundwater contamination price tag is estimated to be somewhere between $600 and $900 million. Recycle water program, we're looking at around $1 billion on that. Conservation, to get to those goals that we had in the Urban Water Management Plan, about $570 million. And then the stormwater capture goals that you've asked us to take another look at and try to do better than that. Even the modest goals that we had was over $300 million. So that all adds up to about like I said, about $2.5 to $3 billion over the next 25 years. And we think these are really good investments. These are going to bolster our overall water supply picture, but they don't do everything. Just to kind of give you a picture of kind of an overall, and this is kind of segueing into some questions that had come up in past meetings. State water project supplies from MMWD. You see that they get about 1.2 million acre feet, and then they've got some other programs, so it's a little bit more than 1.26 million acre feet from the state project. On the Colorado River, Metropolitan's got a basic year apportionment of 550,000 acre feet. They've got a number of other programs to help fill up their aqueduct. Their aqueduct's got a capacity of over 1 million acre feet a year, and so they've got a number of programs to try to bolster that. Remember that California has a 4.4 million acre feet allocation from the Colorado River, and the vast majority of that, the 3.85 of that, goes to agricultural interests out in the east part of the state. And what these are is this is also the priority order, so this is how the water gets divvied up. The agricultural interests get their water first, then Metropolitan gets their 550,000. That takes you up to the 4.4. If there's additional water available, then Met would get some of that. But that's why you know, Met's kind of at the bottom of the pecking order there for how water is divvied up. So it's somewhat of a precarious situation. I think Jeff's done a great job of, you know, making sure that Met has tried to take advantage of every opportunity. I'll talk in a minute. Actually, it's this slide. One of the projects that came up, and I got a question about this. I think Commissioner Parfrey asked me about, was the deal with Mexico on the International Boundary and Water Commission. And basically, this is a project or program to bilaterally address needs between Mexico and the United States. And help Mexico out with some needed infrastructure improvement, financing, and then to make some water available to the United States. So it consists of cooperative measures. It's about a 5-year deal. It involves storage of Colorado River water that would be normally bound for Mexico in U.S. reservoirs. We have to have provisions for what happens in a shortage, what happens in a surplus, and then there's a provision in there then to exchange water across the border. And it basically works that, can't read that far from here, that the U.S. and the local agencies fund conservation in Mexico. Mexico reduces their Colorado River deliveries accordingly. Mexico's delivery reduction is stored in U.S. reservoirs. That stored water is converted into what they call a binational, intentionally created surplus for the agencies that help fund those conservation projects, and then U.S. agencies can take delivery of that intentionally created surplus through future years. And that's kind of the mechanics of how that deal works, and Metropolitan will be able to be a beneficiary of that. The last thing I wanted to mention is that there has been recently, it was just in the last week, a study that was released that Metropolitan and LADWP co-funded along with some other partners to look at what the economic disruption costs would be of supply disruption to the economy in Los Angeles. And basically, we looked at a scenario of disruption of delivery from the Bay Delta California Aqueduct to Southern California. They did look at multiple scenarios along with the resilience analysis for 6-month, 24-month, and 36-month disruptions. And you know, what they looked at under the most extreme scenario was there'd be about a 30% shortage. But notably, the GDP loss just in LA County would be $160 billion. With an potential employment loss of 1.6 million jobs. So when we look at this kind of a potential impact, if we don't take some action on the Delta, we think it makes the case for investments of this kind. Jeff presented some numbers there that showed the average bill impact for typical Metropolitan customers. The good news for LADWP customers is ours will probably be about half of that. We estimated it'd probably be around $2.50 to $3 per month per customer because we have the LA Aqueduct water, you know, to supplement. We don't buy 90% of our water from Metropolitan, so the typical DWP customers' impacts would be less. So we think that's a fairly nobody wants to see rate increases, but for the investment and for the reliability you would be getting, we feel that would be a good investment paired with our investments in local water supply.
Questions or comments from commissioners? Commissioner
Moss? Questions. Under the conservation plan, will MWD ever be able to get more water out of the Delta as a result of the plan, like in the future?
The goal is not to get more than we historically receive, but we do believe we should probably receive more than we're receiving at this moment, because starting in 2009, judicial orders reduced us by 30% to protect endangered species. So some of that, with the species coming back under the conservation plan, we should be able to get some of that 30% back. Unclear how much of it.
So you'd get a restoration back to your historical level?
That would be the goal, and that's our hope.
Right. And then sort of on the negative side, if I understood you correctly, it's going to take probably about a year to get the go-ahead to do this project if it's all successful. How long will it take to actually construct it and bring it online?
About 12 years, so we're really looking about 2025, something in that time frame, 2026, before we would have something fully online. Because it's a two-barrel tunnel system and some of this is ecosystem work, obviously pieces of it will come online, but completely online, about 12 years.
So that begs the question, what's Plan B in case we have the catastrophe that you're hoping to build against happens between now and then?
Exactly right. We have been working very closely with the Army Corps of Engineers, Bureau of Reclamation, State of California on a Plan B, and to that point, we've now invested something in the range of $300 to $400 million in pre-positioning emergency supplies. We've stockpiled rock, sheet metal. We've got contracts with cranes and barges, and the goal is it's a reactive strategy. So post-earthquake, we'd go in and build more or less a very small straight-line canal that we could get up and running in 6 months to at least provide a lifeline while the rest of it was finished.
You know, you spoke about feeling tentative about reviewing this very voluminous document that you're anticipating in 2013. And I feel opposite to that. I read our executive summary, and I feel as if it was very misleading. You know, the summary talks about an investment of $54 million over a 45-year period. Didn't go into any of the numbers that you discussed, the billions of dollars, the impact to the ratepayers. And even here, within the last few minutes, it doesn't seem as if you and, you know, the director of our water division even have the numbers right. And I think when you're talking about impacts to ratepayers, I don't think it's fair to them for you to be saying $5 to $6, and Mr. McDaniel is saying, well, maybe $2 to $3. So I personally cannot support reaffirming this without getting more information. I feel as if I would have liked to have reviewed the studies. I feel all I got was an executive summary, which left out a lot of information and included some letters of support. So that's my position.
You might start by addressing the cost issue.
Certainly. Now, this is going to be a little bit of an iterative process because we don't have a final document. The goal is to have a draft plan in January, then another draft in May, and then a final at the end of the year. And so it's going to be refined and altered as we go along. So we don't have final cost numbers. But the best estimate we have today on the current proposed alternative, which isn't the final, is $14 billion. That will go under refinement. So when we spread out that number, when I say $5 to $6 a month, I'm looking at the average metropolitan customer. And as Mr. McDaniels pointed out, people rely on Metropolitan very differently. There are some parts of our service area, the San Diego area, gets about 80%, 85% of their water has to be imported. Then you get up to Los Angeles and you get less than half the water is imported from Metropolitan because they have their own Owens Valley supply and they have good groundwater supplies. So there is no, exact number for everyone within Southern California. But the average across Southern California for our 19 million ratepayers is going to be $5 to $6 per household. And then it's going to vary from some people up to 10 and others down to 1 or 2, depending on how much water they get from Metropolitan. That's using the $14 billion number, which is the estimate at the moment, and it is going to be refined given what changes come out of the environmental review and comment process. And so it is going to be a 12-month iteration process as we work through it.
Commissioner, Mr. McDaniel, any comments?
Yeah, I apologize if I sounded like I was contradicting Mr. Keitlinger. I was just trying to put the estimate that he provided for the metropolitan service area as a whole to kind of zero that in on what we think it's going to be for Los Angeles. But he's absolutely right, and I have to say one of the other things that's out there that's an uncertainty at this point is how the costs are going to be divided between urban users and agricultural users, and that could have an impact on this. But I guess what I was trying to convey was the overall kind of the order of magnitude of the costs that we're looking at, which are not way out of line with the kind of rate actions we've been talking about for things like infrastructure reliability, water quality compliance. It's of that same order of magnitude.
And I assume your monthly cost estimate was different because we're talking about because our mix of water within DWP.
Yeah, because of how
You were
much
talking
water we...
throughout
Yes.
your entire service territory.
Correct. All of Southern California.
Now, point of order, Mr. President. If I understand, our resolution that we're being asked to vote on today, and thank you for the presentation, it's really quite fascinating, is really addressing the city council, encouraging the city council to take an official stance in support of the...
We need council approval, yes.
Right. Well, we're not necessarily, I just want to make it clear for the record, our support today in favor of this resolution isn't necessarily stating on the record that we want an increase in water rates for our customers. Far from it. It's just merely part of the political process that is going to shake out over time up in Sacramento.
It does reaffirm our support for the overall plan,
Right.
but without specificity with respect to the dollars.
But the plan is going to change
It's gonna
through the
change.
public process over the next year.
Yes. That's Commissioner Parfrey?
Yeah, Mr. Keitlinger, could you describe the decades worth of attention that the Delta has received and potentially why this is a significant time in history where there might be some movement forward, and then could you handicap for us what it looks like going forward and being able to have these historic changes made?
Yeah, California has wrestled with this issue of how to move water through the Delta. It was originally a plan was proposed in 1930s. Pat Brown addressed it in 1960s when we built the State Water Project. 1982, California, under Governor Jerry Brown, first tenure, put the issue to a vote called the Peripheral Canal Vote. And now it is, in 2000, we embarked on a new process we called CalFed, state and federal agencies coming up with a long-term plan. That completed. In 2010, and then 2009, the Schwarzenegger administration kicked off this current plan. So this has been decades in the analysis and planning. This current plan was really developed through a lot of work by the PPIC, Public Policy Institute of California, working in closely with UC Davis and the Schwarzenegger administration Blue Ribbon panel, saying this seems to be the preferred path. Will the water agencies fund the analysis to develop a plan under it? We began that funding in 2009. As I said, we spent about $175 million to date, and this has been the most thoroughly vetted, complete plan that we've seen addressing this issue in over half a century. And I think the promising news, when you ask me to forecast, it's difficult to forecast in California, but the promising part is the Brown administration has a preferred approach, and they've been backed by the Obama administration and Secretary Salazar saying, we back California's plan here. And so I think that's very strong to have the governor and the federal agencies saying, we like this plan. We think it does the most for the environment and the economy, and we're now going to see if we can bring it to closure over the next year.
And could you address the assertion that investing in the conveyance and in the conservation plan for the Delta is taking money away from local water resources, and that we have a choice before us? We can either do local or we can do the conveyance, but we can't do both. Could you address that?
Yeah, we've had this debate at our board throughout, which is representative of all of Southern California, and the answer is always going to be we're going to have to do both. And we hate to tell this to ratepayers, but you have to do both. When 50 to 60% of your water comes from 250 to 450 miles away, you need to protect that baseline. We can't recycle against nothing. We can't conserve against nothing. But we have to do both. We're continuing to grow. We aren't going to get more water from Northern California. We're not going to get more water from the Colorado River. We have to share those resources, and we're going to have to hang on to that baseline that makes recycling and conservation work. But then we're continuing to grow. We went from 14 to 19 million people. When California is projected to go from 38 to 50 million people by 2035, Southern California is expected to reach 25 million. We have to find the water for an additional 6 million people, new jobs, new growth, and that water is all going to be done with conservation, recycling, reclamation, brackish water desalination, groundwater recovery. But without our baseline of imported supplies, we have nothing to recycle against or conserve against. So our game plan has been to invest in both. We've done it successfully the last 20 years, and we believe we can do it over the next 25 years as well.
Other questions, comments? Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I am, and it's not that I reject the project, but at this time, I just don't think that we've been given enough information to properly address this and reaffirm this in a way that we could speak comfortably about.
Fair enough. The motion passes 3-1.
Thank you.
Let's go back to the regular agenda, and we've been jumping around. Item 3, comments and requests from commissioners relating to DFP operations.
I want to wish everyone a happy holiday, since I guess this is our last commission meeting before the end of the year.
Okay.
So,
It's duly noted. We're on the public comment now. I believe we have one speaker card.
Yes, I do have one speaker card for item 4. The speaker is Linda Romney.
Good afternoon. On that last presentation, my antenna went up when I heard that the water rates currently experienced were tripling their water bills. It's exactly what Jeff said. They were tripling their water bills. Now, right now, for 11 HCFs of water, which is confirmed on my personal water bill, I pay almost $50 for water for 11 HCFs. 11 HCFs means you can't water anything. None of your vegetation gets watered. That's the minuscule amount. And you've got a cost of almost $50. You add to that the electric charges, your sanitation charges, and your sewer, and the bills right now are so astronomical. And you in the city of Los Angeles have 20% of the population in the city of Los Angeles, which is considered by federal standards as being indigent. As you know, you limit your lifeline credit to $52,000. So even the people who are totally and completely indigent, you're disabled, you're senior citizens, and I'm talking about indigent, the Department of Water and Power, as of July of last year, is currently limiting that lifeline discount. And obviously, if you're limiting the lifeline, you're limiting the others, the physician and the medical equipment. The fact is, there's programs that all of us would like to have, but it's cause and effect. Everything costs money. And when it comes down to your ratepayers, we cannot afford any additional increases. Constantly, we see these pet projects where the Department of Water and Power is paying for the project, for the land itself, in addition, in addition, in addition. This is not the money that should be allocated for strictly purchase of water and electric and those items that are related to the purchase of water and electric. All I'm saying is that as a ratepayer, it's gotten to be absurd at this point. Please consider the dollar amount for your people. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to defer item 5 because Commissioner Holloman is not here, and so there are only 2 of us to vote on it. On the consent agenda, we're going to
We have a vote to defer.
I'm sorry?
Vote to
Is there a
defer.
motion to defer?
So moved.
Can you vote to defer when you weren't here for the minutes? Never mind.
Second?
Any objection? Hearing none. Items deferred. Okay, we're going to pull item 18 from the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve items 6 through
We have cards for 7 and 16.
7 and 16? Okay. 7 and 16. Okay. Is there a motion to approve items 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 17?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no objections, that motion passes. Let's go to, let's hear the speaker on item 7.
Yes. The speaker for item number 7 is C.S. Henry.
Honorable Commissioners, referring to item 7 and item 16, that are recommended by the board award by Change Supply staff, and for one original year with 2 optional years. On November 20th, 2012, staff sought and received other service contracts with the original year term and 2 option years. From 2002 to 2009, local minority business enjoyed the same original year and 2 optional years with only a material and payment bond for 30-day prompt payment by DWP. I know now the RFP Spec 371 for dump trucks was deliberately rigged by staff to a favored vendor. The handout has been delivered to the Secretary for all 5 commissioners. There's clear evidence of collusion by staff to discriminately revise Spec 371 for 3-year term to justify the initial $12 million performance bond and subsequently the $4 million performance bond. After numerous complaints were presented, the maximum billing for 30-day truck rental is $250,000. So there's no need to have us treat it like that when you deviated for a 3-year contract for a 30-day truck rental, which you pay every 30 days. My handout channels is the board approval letter dated August 27th, which was presented to the commissioners 90 days after the date of May 30th, which is against city charter, I believe. August 27th approval letter is collusion proof. I don't have to bring anything else because in the letter you proved that collusion was evident. My problem with the August 27th letter is that DWP staff, whoever signed this DMT, falsely wrote lies on CSH, which is me. Now, because of my health concerns, I was told by the doctors not to appear on the 18th of September, and the fact that the letter sent to me on September 13th did not specify as to who the award was for. You have a copy of the letter in the handout. I sent a rebuttal letter on September 14th and dressed down the letter that was sent to me, and the approval letter was presented to the board. So everything in the handout that I give you, it shows that not only did the board try to give a contract to a business in San Bernardino County, all they had to use was GPS and Google Maps, and they found out that the board, that the vendor was actually on 452 Cajun Street in Redlands. The letter cover page showed...
Could you wrap up your remarks, please?
Well, you know, to save time, I'm going to tell you, I'm the first African-American vendor for DWP rental trucks in 1988. City Attorney Chris Restoff eliminated the $1.75 million performance bond just so I could get my turn after trying to bid for 7 years. And I became successful, and I performed and took care of business. So here we are in 2012 with either a city attorney approving this or staff approving a $12 million bond for 36 months, which is like a capital improvement job. And that's not fair to the diversity of minorities and certified minorities in the city of LA to have to go up against a contractor that's in Redlands, San Bernardino County. So if you review everything in the handout, you'll see that the 11 to 12 page letter to recommend the award is totally non-factual, and you can see through the whole thing. And the fact that you would sit up there and give an MBE, a male, Morris McCants, $300,000 as a WBE is a slap in the face to all the WBEs that's listed in the board approval letter.
Thank you.
So,
Your time is up, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve items 6 and 16?
6 or 7?
So item 7?
7
And six.
7 and 16, excuse me.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, second.
Yeah. Any opposition? Hearing none, the items pass. I just wanted to clarify that the speaker was speaking to an item that wasn't on the agenda. It was on our August 27th agenda. There is a package, and we'll pass this on to the appropriate folks. Okay. Item 18. Can we have a presentation on item 18?
describe what the report, we don't have a formal presentation, but
Okay.
this is,
I have a direct question.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's good for people to hear a little bit of background and context for the grid reliability report. But Aaron, are we on time with our compliance timeline on repowering and getting off of ocean-cooled water?
we are, every milestone that we've declared on the current repowering that it's going on right now on Haynes 5 and 6 are on track, and we are going to be putting those units in service as we declared it, and we also are moving on the second repowering that we have, which is Scattergood 3, and this board has approved the go-ahead, for us to negotiate and finalize that agreement, which will come back to the board for final approval.
If I may, Commissioner Parkway, our compliance deadline dates for Scattergood 5 and 6 are 2013, for Haynes 5 and 6 are 2013. For Scattergood 3, it's 2015, and we are on schedule for that. And for Scattergood 1 and 2, it's 2024. And for the rest of our units, Haynes 1 and 2, Harbor 5, and Haynes 8, it's 2029, all of which we are on schedule.
That's the extent of my questions.
Okay.
I just wanted that to be in the public record. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve item 18?
There is.
Is there a second?
Second.
Hearing no objections, item 18 passes. I think we have several speakers on items 22 to 25. So why don't we take those as a group?
Okay, I do have one on 21.
Oh, I'll come back to it.
Oh, okay.
You'll come back to 21. And let's have public comment
I
first.
really like skipping around today.
I
don't you?
know, we have, just because we have people waiting.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Were we going to do the presentation?
yeah,
First?
let's have the public comment first.
Okay.
Yes,
So this is item 22 we're on?
yes.
Okay.
Let's take all the comments on 22 to 25.
Okay, I did have a little item to read.
Okay.
Okay. For item number 22, with respect to item number 22, the board package is amended to include a statement of public interest dated November 16, 2012 from the general manager regarding service by LADWP staff on the board of directors with Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator disclosure of non-interest. Okay, so the first speaker for item number 22 is Linda Romney.
Is there any way we could do our public comments after they do their presentation so that we could include issues presented in the presentation?
Well, it was our hope that by making, well, what's the pleasure of the group? Do you have a preference?
I'd leave it to you.
I defer to you.
I'm inclined to support you, Mr. President. I think it's important that we have a large number of people assembled to testify on this matter. It would be a good idea to get them up before us.
Yeah, in the interest of time, we'd like people to go forward with their testimony. So, Ms. Romney, why don't you comment?
My problem with the project is because of the fact that the Department of Water and Power has purchased land for this particular project, and then the money, obviously, the continuing money on all the different items starting at 22 and continuing on this agenda are monies that are coming from the ratepayers. And specifically, as I stated in the general comments, the fact of the matter is that someone has to pay for all these projects that we'd like to see. The problem is that if that cost is passed to the ratepayer, it's prohibitive to the ratepayers. We're already having to pay for additional electric. You got an 11% rate increase over 2 years. There's at least another 11% coming. We've got a 30% rate increase for the water that's looming in front of us. So these additional projects that are going to be saddled on the ratepayer is my objection. If they're grants coming from the federal government or grants coming from the state government, fine. If it doesn't involve monies that we, the ratepayer, has to pay for. And that is my specific objection. Also, on each and every one of these items, I'd like to see the amount of money we're talking about. Number 22, How much money are we referring to? On all the other items on the agenda, how much money are we referring to? Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Next public speaker?
Okay, the next speaker is Steve Andrews.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. Steve Andrews from the Mayor's Office. The project before you today is one that it's a continuation of a project that this board, in partnership with the Mayor's Office and the Redevelopment Agency, started several years ago. We're back continuing to implement this project, and it's a very important project for the Mayor's Office and your department and for the city. It continues to implement the La Kretz Innovation Campus and the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. As you know, the Water and Power Department is a key component of the city's economic development efforts. We haven't always thought of it that way. We haven't always leveraged the capacity and the resources of our proprietary departments. We have tremendous resources in the city between this department, the Los Angeles World Airports, and the Port of Los Angeles. Tremendous economic drivers in your purchasing, in what you do with your policies, and how you efficiently use your resources. Historically, the city hasn't always done a great job at economic development, specifically in leveraging these resources. What we really need overall is a continuing critical need to coordinate and have strategic approaches that target specific economic sectors that, one, play to Los Angeles' assets and competitive strengths, two, have the potential to expand productivity and output for the region, and three, to create jobs for our residents. The La Kretz Innovation Campus advances each of these goals. For Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, clean tech strategies can help us in meeting mandated renewable portfolio standards and water conservation energy efficiency goals. This project has been one of the mayor's highest priorities for years now. We are happy to see it advance further. It is already a success in this city, as I'm sure you'll hear in the staff presentation and other testimony, and we greatly appreciate the ongoing support of your staff, your board, and former general managers, and hope you'll advance it further today. Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Rebecca Abano.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Rebecca Abano with the Department of Public Works Bureau of Engineering. I'm here to represent the city engineer. He would like to lend his support on the project. We'd like to assist the Mayor's Office and your department in delivering the La Kretz Innovation Campus. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I do have 4 cards that wish to speak on items 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. So I'll continue on then with that group. Okay.
Take 22 to 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the next speaker is Fred Walty.
You will only have to hear from me once. I want to talk about the La Kretz Innovation Campus. My name is Fred Walty. I'm the Executive Director of the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator, and we will be one of the primary residents of that campus. Despite the fact that we are an embryonic organization, less than 14 months old, our two organizations have a lot in common because we are both committed to the development of innovation that's going to be so critical to getting to the renewable standards in a new future in terms of energy and water conservation. And our organization, LACI, is essentially the business equivalent of a baseball farm system. We go out and we find young companies and young technologies, and we bring them to the market and we help them do that. And we do that in the 3,500 square foot temporary building we have now, and we're going to do that in the La Kretz Innovation Campus, and we're going to be able to move from our current 14 companies that we are helping now, and everything from energy innovation to storage to sustainability and recycling. We're going to be able to take that from 14 companies all the way up to 40 or perhaps 50 companies in our new space. So the La Kretz Innovation Campus is absolutely key for our future. I believe that it will not only be the tipping point for the clean tech effort to build an innovation hub in the Arts and Innovation District, but it will also be transformative for the Arts and Innovation District, because we are going to create up to 600 direct jobs, up to 1,100 indirect jobs, we're going to have the kind of facility that will be world-class and will attract the greatest minds in the country to our part of the world. And so I want to thank you very much for supporting our organization. To date, you have been the key partner for us in giving birth to the LACI, and we really appreciate you considering and hopefully passing 22, 23, 24, 25. All of the Lacrette's things. That's what I wanted to talk about. You don't have to bring me up each time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Michael Swords.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Michael Swords, and I'm the Executive Director of Strategic Research at UCLA. I'm also the Chairman of the Board of Clean Tech Los Angeles. I'm here today to express my strong support for the Lacrette's Innovation Campus, or LKIC. I would like to first thank DWP for their commitment to making LA a cleaner and greener city through their efforts to phase out the use of coal-fired power, accelerating the deployment of renewable energy, promoting water conservation, and expanding energy efficiency programs. These forward-thinking actions by DWP will create good high-wage jobs locally, save the ratepayers money, and help the environment. As many of you may know, LA already has more clean tech startups than any other city in the United States. Strong environmental policies, the presence of 3 major research universities, access to venture capital, and the size of its market make the city a very desirable place to start a clean tech company. The development of the LKIC is a major component of the city's efforts to leverage these advantages to become a global powerhouse in clean tech. I believe that this facility will become the hub for much of the region's clean tech innovation and commercialization. There will be no other facility like it in the region. Under one roof, you will have a business incubator with the capacity for hosting over 25 companies. There will also be laboratory space, conference and meeting space, and plenty of room for larger tenants. This facility will provide fertile ground for collaborations between university researchers, inventors, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, utility staff, you name it. Clean Tech LA and its 22 members will commit to leveraging the collective resources of our organization to nurture the development of this facility. Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Estela Lopez.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am Estela Lopez. I'm the Executive Director of the Central City East Association and the Downtown Arts District Business Improvement District. Now, my role here today is to give you just a sense of the community where this project will be sited. As most of you know, the Arts District is the very, very eastern edge of downtown Los Angeles between Alameda and the LA River. It is also part of downtown Los Angeles' aging industrial land. It is an area, Commissioners, where we have been bleeding jobs for 3 decades, and those jobs are not coming back, certainly not to downtown Los Angeles. It is a very large area with an inventory of aging industrial buildings and a street grid that was designed for the early 20th century. It's simply incompatible with today's traditional industrial. But by comparison, clean tech requires a smaller footprint, and clean tech manufacturers fit well with the Arts District creative community. Right now, the Arts District Business Improvement District, the property owners that pay an additional assessment on their property taxes to maintain that district, to make it safer, to make it attractive for new businesses, they are putting in $1.3 million voluntarily every year to prepare that district for something like this. The Arts District and Los Angeles in general needs the jobs that will come from this project. In the Arts District in particular, it will be welcomed because we welcome mixed use and increased densification. We are a community that is ready for more jobs, more housing, and greater amenities, and all of these will come as a result of this project. You have been so supportive from the beginning to make the Arts District the gateway to the new economy by supporting clean tech, and we're asking that you continue that support today. Thank you so much for what you have done so far, and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Tanner Blackman.
Good afternoon, President and Commissioners. I'm Tanner Blackman from the Office of Councilmember Jose Huizar. I'll be very brief because a number of people have already spoken and will continue to speak about the merits of this project. I just wanted to come today and express the council members' strong support. The campus itself will house both the incubator and LADWP's Smart Grid Demonstration Center. It's any investment we make now on this site will, I think, actually position us in a better position to be able to vie for future federal funds once the Smart Grid Demonstration Center is up and running. Plus, it will, as Estella just said, provide a great place to incubate new businesses. And our office is also following through and going to help make the half-acre site on the corner across from Barker Block and Earth Cafe into a park to further amenitize the space. And this has really been a model of sort of in how we address anything moving forward, absent redevelopment as a city, of how different parts of the city family can all come together and make complex projects like this a reality. And also today, my boss put forward a motion to start whatever necessary transition with the funds and everything to DWP and BSS. So we're sort of in coordination with actions in City Council today, and we urge you to move forward this item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was the last speaker for 22 and then the group for 22 through 25.
Okay. It's time for our presentation.
Yes.
Kelly?
Let's see.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. You've heard a bit about the project, and I'd like to tell you a bit more. My name is Kelly Bernard. I am the Director of Economic Development. I'd like to take a few minutes to share with you a bit about the history of the campus and the vision for the LaCretz Innovation Campus, and then review the various board actions that are before you. The campus, as you've heard, is the result of a partnership which dates back to 2009 and involves the public and private sector, business and civic organizations, and universities and research institutions. I think Mike Swords mentioned some of those, and they include Estella Lopez's organization, the Central City East Association, the LA Business Council, LA Chamber, our fine universities, UCLA and USC, Caltech, JPL, and the Central City Association. In 2009, CleanTech LA, a nonprofit organization, was created. Its members came together to support the development of a clean tech business cluster or ecosystem in Los Angeles. Following this, in May of 2010, LADWP's Customer Service Division entered into an MOU with CRA, and with the generous help of Morton LaCretz, acquired the LA Innovation Campus. The MOU was established to support the campus development and the creation of the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. The 2010 MOU detailed how LADWP and CRA would collaborate. DWP agreed to acquire the property for LAKIC, CRA to hire the architect, provide project management services, and handle construction procurement. However, earlier this year, CRA was dissolved. CRA was no longer able to enter into new contracts or implement projects. Hence, CRA was no longer able to provide the project management or construction procurement services for the campus. This created a need for LADWP to take on an expanded role for the project. LADWP now serves as the project manager responsible for convening and managing the various project components. As you've heard, the vision for the campus, it is envisioned that the campus will serve as the city's clean tech industry hub, promote the development and commercialization of innovative clean technologies, assist LADWP in promoting water conservation and energy efficiency technologies, and accelerate the commercialization of renewable technologies. It would also house the Customer Service Demonstration Center, the LADWP's Energy Innovation Center, and the Clean Tech Incubator. It will not house the Smart Grid Demonstration Program. That's okay. And it would also create green jobs in Los Angeles. What you have before you is a site map of the campus. It is a 3.2-acre site located at 5th and Hewitt in the Arts District. It contains approximately 60,000 square feet of building area and will include several uses, including it will provide parking with a solar PV canopy, a half-acre community park, which Tanner spoke with you about, which is being financed separately. Our real estate group is currently negotiating a long-term lease with the Department of Rec and Parks who will develop and maintain the park at no cost to the department. And it will contain the LACI, the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. It will also include laboratory space and prototype workshopping, workshop space, the DWP's Customer Service Center, which will allow the department to engage with various customer segments, demonstrate its programs, services, and initiatives while receiving customer feedback. The Energy Innovation Center is envisioned to be a customer demonstration and learning space for residential and commercial integrated demand-side management technologies. The center may also house energy efficiency experts to assist customers in installing energy efficiency technologies in their homes and businesses. And the campus may also include a workforce training program to provide on-the-job training for students. And this is more of the site here. These are architectural renderings of it. You can see the schematics of the park and the various uses that we've discussed. As you've heard, there are 4 items before you, action items before you. I will run through them quickly and take questions on them. One is an MOU with BOE, and that is to provide construction and project management services for the project. It's for a term of not to exceed 3 years for $550,000. Part of that is funds that will go to the Bureau of Contract Services for their inspection work, which is the role that they play for city projects in doing that. The other item is the architectural contract with John Friedman, Alice Kim Architects. This is for up to $1.2 million and for a term of not more than 15 months. And the architectural contract is for any redesign and re-engineering work that needs to be done, TI design that may be done on on LADWP spaces, and additional permitting and plan check requirements. This contract will be on a as needed or a task order basis, so we will issue them as needed for those. And then the other items relate to funding. This project is being financed by a number of different sources. To do that, we have applied for grants from the U.S. Department of Commerce, Economic Development Administration, and we're successful in receiving $2.124 million in grant fundings from them. We've received $3 million in community development block grant funds, and we were awarded $3 million in CRA funding, which is pending a final approval from the California Department of Finance. So there are actions before you to accept those funds, and also to seek new market tax credit, which is a large piece of the funding for this project. And if we receive we won't know if the new markets will be awarded until after congressional authorization, and that will be later, and we will come back to this board following those actions before we move forward with the program. So that's an overview of the various items, and I'm happy to take questions.
Questions? Mr. Moss?
I like the project quite a lot. I think it's a really good way for DWP to leverage its economic power to help the city. However, I do have some questions. How many DWP employees will be housed at the Becret's facility on a permanent basis?
That hasn't been determined how many employees will be housed there.
Do you have a range or possible range, or just
from our customer service and our energy efficiency group?
Kind of order of magnitude? We're talking about 10. We're talking about.
I would say no more than, I would say about 10, 15 maybe, yeah.
Okay. Well, this is where I'm coming from, is that it seems that because of the demise of CRA, DWP is being asked to step up and basically become, the sole project manager, so to speak. And I want to make sure that there's a real good return on investment for DWP for this additional effort beyond just merely buying the property. So I'm interested to know really what benefits are going to accrue directly to DWP. I'm not interested in technological advances that might be made that someday may help DWP, but I'd like to know exactly what, on a day-to-day basis, is going to benefit DWP by our additional involvement in this project.
Karen, you want to take a shot at that?
No.
Or Kelly?
No. Again, the direct, in addition to helping us meet renewable goals and all that, the other benefit is having our customer service group and our energy and efficiency group housed there as well. We will be talking to and being able to convene our customers, both residential and commercial customers, right there. We will have an opportunity with, for the first time, to bring not only customer service, energy efficiency, the electric vehicles, all of this work that we're doing internally that's housed here, some of that can be done there so that our customers can access that, see and the demonstrations of those technologies. Currently, we don't have a place like that for the department. Other utilities are doing that, SoCal Gas, Edison, but we generally don't do that.
So how much money will DWP, in addition to what it's already put into this project, be placing into this project going forward?
I'm happy to go through that. So we spent $11.25 for the acquisition of the property, and for the construction and ongoing maintenance, we have identified approximately $7 million more of DWP funds.
So at this point, we would be committing an additional $7 million.
Yes.
To the project.
And the overall project cost is about $33 million?
The overall project cost is, actually, we tweaked it, it's closer to $39 million.
I mean, couldn't we, for argument's sake, house these energy efficiency people in the customer service somewhere else for less than $7 million additional investment?
Yes, but it's not just about housing those individuals. But yes, conceivably we could house them.
All right. Well, let me turn.
Wait, so if it's not about that, what?
I said it's not just about that.
So what else?
But it also is about the nexus between the new jobs that we're creating for the region, the work that's currently being done at the incubator, and the WAC, and the fact that they were able to interact with our staff now, and the research that comes out of there. We will be housing those components as well there. So it's not just about.
Does DWP receive, if there are patents developed or innovations developed at the incubator center, does DWP partake in any of those patents?
We don't have a relationship with the incubator because we're not investing directly into those businesses that will be housed at the incubator.
Okay, so if something amazing is developed there, they discover fusion or something, we're not going to be able to partake upon that?
We will be able to partner with them, but as it states, we don't have a contractual relationship to control the technologies that are created by those private businesses.
Okay. Let me ask this.
Wait a minute.
No,
so
go ahead.
Do we have so who owns the IP that's developed in the incubator? Is it the participant or is it DWP?
It's those businesses, Fred?
That's your question, though.
Yeah, the idea, the intellectual property.
Okay.
At this stage of the game, we have individual companies, and they own their individual IP. The incubator nor DWP take any equity position in those companies. We can change that. This is where we are right now in the first year of operation. But I want to come back to, can I address a couple of the other questions?
Let's finish with this one.
Okay.
I think he's on to something, right? If we're making the major investment here, shouldn't we have some kind of a stake in the outcomes? And you can do that by having them pay us directly, or they can pay us a licensing fee. There are a variety of ways we could get a return on our investment. And if it's not that, then explain to us what is DWP's ultimate return on our investment.
Well, your ultimate return on your investment is at least twofold. One, we are developing companies that will build your business. It will build your business not only in economic development in general terms, but we are going to build your business, build companies that build your business to the electrification of transportation and the grid, because that's going to grow your business. The ancillary way that you're going to benefit, and I say ancillary because nobody started it in this way, is that this is a very good real estate investment for you folks. I mean, you bought the property for $11.25 million, but you had only $8 million of your money in it. You had $3 million from private sources, so you've already leveraged that. You're leveraging federal funds and state and local funds for it. So I think that it's a very good real estate investment, although nobody wants to look at it from that perspective. Downside is it's a very good investment. But really the reason why we're doing it it's not fuzzy. It's not necessarily something I can draw specific numbers to, but we are building an economy of which DWP and your customers are going to benefit very directly. We're building a business. We're building businesses and an economy, and we're going to have jobs. They're going to drive their electric vehicles. It's going to be a pretty significant enterprise that, yes, the DWP is being asked to put up the majority of the money that's been put up so far. But I believe long-term you will receive the majority of the benefit in economic development terms, because you grow your business through not only growing of companies in general, but this is a growing of a sector that is going to be, I think, very important to us in the future.
So you've alluded to electrical vehicles, so if I can sort of put in real-world times, what you're suggesting is that if there are innovations made at the incubator that make electric vehicles more popular to be used and more frequently used, then that's going to benefit DWP because we'll sell more electrons.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about. Yeah, that's certainly a nexus, but I think what President Sales is talking about is a more direct nexus of, if we're going to be essentially project manager for this incubator, why don't we get a piece of the pie? I mean, that's pretty common.
Well, there are many different business models for incubators, for public incubators. It is not actually common to take equity positions in companies that are incubated who don't get money going in. There are many different models.
He didn't say equity. He said an interest in the IP. It's different.
Well,
it's a big difference.
Okay.
We don't want an ownership stake in the company.
Yeah, and we're not asking you to go on position here to say this, but you have to understand our role is being asked to be changed significantly from a partner in something to the lead and only person that's funding this thing. Well, hold on. And I know we're going to leverage with federal funds and all that, but I'm thinking that if we're going to play that role, then we should be well compensated on the return on our investment. And all I'm saying is that perhaps this is something that needs to be thought about, especially from DWP's economic development protocols.
We have had conversations early on about investing using our funds as part of an investment into the businesses, and there was some discussions with the general manager, and at this time it was not deemed something that we wanted to take ownership into some of these businesses. That's not how we wanted to leverage our resources. And to speak to your earlier point about being the only funding source for this, we are the primary funding source, but there has been close to $4 million of city funding put to this project through the community development block grants, the $3 million from CRA that's pending, but they've already spent, CRA already spent close to $2 million on it, and then there's federal dollars up close to $10 million that we're also seeking. So our investment, while absolutely significant in primary, is definitely leveraging quite a number of, and that's not to mention
and
the
we
$2
could
million.
be opening up a Pandora's box of everyone else then saying that they need to have some kind of licensing agreement with whatever entities.
Well, I'm not saying that it has to be one way or the other. I'm just saying this is something that should be thought about and really analyzed. And so far, I haven't heard any real discussion of it. But let's talk about funding. So the State Department of Finance has to approve the CRA transfer funds, and we're waiting on the feds with respect to the block tax
the
credits.
new market tax credits.
Yeah,
yes.
new market tax credits. What happens if they don't materialize?
If those funds don't materialize, and there are a couple of things. If we once we put out the bids and they come back and we will have hard concrete numbers as to what the construction costs will be. At that time, we will know if Department of Finance has approved the $3 million in funding for CRA, and we will know if Congress has authorized. If none of those things happen, if we don't get the funding sources, when we have all that information in February and March, we will come back to this board and letting you know what the status of each of those are. Yes, the Department of Finance approved. No, the congressional authorization did not happen, and we will make a determination that we can't move forward or we do move forward.
Okay,
Other funding has been secured, so no funding will be, no construction will start, and no issuance of.
How much money will be expended based upon, let's say we approve all the items before us today, how much money will be expended by the Department of Water and Power before you come back to us with the results of the other funding sources?
So there's two items that, on the funding side. There is the MOU with BOE. Those funds will not be expended prior to that. And then there's the JFAC contract with the architectural. That's up to $1.2 million. About 20% of that, of the JFAC contract, may be expended before that because there's pre-construction work that must be done prior to going out to bid with drawings and things of that nature, permits.
Is that contracts on task order?
Yes, those.
Okay, and are all those task orders that approximately, what you said, about 20% of the 1.2?
Yes.
Yeah, so a couple $100,000. So is all of that necessary that has to occur right away?
They don't have to occur right away. Some of them are planned, but they may occur right away. I mean, some of it has to happen before we can release the construction bid. Those funds have to happen. And so plan check has to be done, permits have to be pulled, and that's all done through the architectural contract.
I think what the commissioner is getting at is we're only going to spend up to $260,000 until you come back and we'll really understand what the full funding picture is.
Yeah.
That was the question.
That's our exposure.
Yeah.
Yes, that's our exposure.
So
why don't you rest for a while, Commissioner Parker?
Yeah.
We'll let you come back.
Thank you. And mind you, I support this project too.
I got to tell you, I was at this is one of the few moments I've had some downtime. I was at a coffee shop on the west side, and I was sitting there, and there was this computer programmer who was working on gaming. And there was a guy there from out of town who was lobbying the computer programmer, trying to get him to come up and relocate to, I forgot whether it was Vancouver or Seattle, but to leave Los Angeles. That's a conversation that's happening time and again. And Fred, you know the statistics on how many people come out of Caltech or USC or UCLA that come out with advanced degrees, but are they starting their businesses in Los Angeles? Could you answer that question? What's the percentage of local starts related to our universities?
I don't have that particular number, except for I can tell you that it is a significant number because we are facing significant competition for the economic development of clean technology in this country. I mean, there are many regions, New York, Boston, Chicago, the Research Triangle in North Carolina, all of which are putting together these kinds of ecosystems, funding them so that they can go after not only the private sector but the public sector in terms of grants. So it's incredibly important to build an ecosystem. And Commissioner, as you kind of noted, we've done a lot of study about how you build an ecosystem to develop this. And one of the key challenges we in LA have is we don't necessarily play very well together. You know, we're very spread out. It's tough to work together. And so if we're really going to build an ecosystem to support innovation, we have to have a physical hub to do that. We have to get people physically close together so they go to coffee shops like the Commissioner talked about, and rather than trying to convince them to go to someplace else, but actually can collaborate and work together. And I think La Crête is going to be the tipping point for that. I think that's really going to be the benefit of building this building, is to build the ecosystem and the economy around it. It's incredibly important, and you know, we have a lot of components to help fight the battle. We have, you know, the best research universities in the world, I think, here.
Well, it's my understanding as well that there's local philanthropists who have decided to also place their money in the trust of the incubator with the idea that they're getting a return on their investment. So who does this include?
We recently got a $250,000 challenge grant from the Broad Foundation. That was matched. Will be announced by Wells Fargo Foundation. We are having this. They're not closed, so I can't. We're having significant discussions across the spectrum of support within the private sector, not only foundations, but also businesses.
Because you're making the point for me, which is that, you know, we're talking about America's second largest city. And when it comes to the economic development of Los Angeles, we do have competitors. We have competitors in the Research Triangle area, in New York and Boston, along the West Coast, Silicon Valley. And how is LA going to step up in this highly competitive system that is going to bring business to Southern California? And, okay, you're ready for a shock? Did you ever think you're going to hear these words out of my mouth? When business is good in LA, it's good for DWP. And so if we don't have a strong strategic plan to bring new business into the city and to have that kind of economic development, I just see that this is an investment in our future. I feel very strongly about this program, that the role that our department can play is a very favorable one. And we brought up EVs before. And I know that the charging units haven't been as popular as we would have wanted, but there is a trend. I was just at the LA Auto Show, saw dozens of new electric vehicles and other kinds of hybrid vehicles that are coming on the market. And the question is, does the Department of Water and Power want to be there to take over market share from ExxonMobil, from Texaco, from Chevron? I think the answer is yes. And we're not going to get there without innovation. And so I really appreciate the work that Kelly has done to really help this city and to use the leverage that DWP has to bring in new business for the department. So I'm very supportive.
Commissioner Noonan?
Thank you. I had the honor of serving on the Mayor's Trade Advisory Council, where I was very impressed with his Clean Tech Corridor division, and I applaud his efforts in that regard. I'm personally familiar with the Clean Tech Corridor because my firm has a division that specializes in that area as well. I think that, you know, under a scenario where where the department wasn't being taxed with very, very heavy state and federal mandates, and where we're trying to pursue admirable renewable energy goals, and we constantly have failing infrastructure and pension issues, we have so many immediate priorities in front of us. I think that if we didn't have all of these issues in front of us that are affecting the ratepayers, I would completely support this project. And I do idealistically, but knowing that the Clean Tech Corridor has been generally stagnant and that there is vacancy, I'm really struggling with making such a huge expenditure when there is space available that we could retrofit and use in the capacity to serve in the way that you want. And as for Commissioner Parfrey's comments, you know, I think, you know, it would be nice, instead of taxing the ratepayers to take this on in addition to everything else we're asking them to take on, I think it would be great to know, you know, what private investors you have approached, what universities, which companies have you approached to try and fund this, because I do think it's unfair for the ratepayers to take the majority share in this project, which idealistically is great, but I just think the timing of it is very bad.
Commissioner Moss, did you take a breath? Ready to go again?
Yeah, no, I actually would like to maybe move to a motion if we're ready to do that.
I think we've all been heard.
Yeah, now what numbers are we talking about here?
22 to 25.
Okay. I'd also like to present an amendment to one of the resolutions, so maybe we should take them, rather than as a group, take them individually on the motions.
Okay, and which one are you proposing to amend?
I think I'd like to propose, well, sorry about that.
Sorry.
Might be 23. Let me just double check. I can tell by the resolution.
It's on the funding? Does it relate to the funding?
Yeah, I think so.
And it's probably on 23.
Yes, it's on, nope.
It's
sorry,
on architecture?
Not.
It's
no,
24.
No. Sorry.
You don't want to accept the money from the Department of Congress?
No, I do. I want to take all the money we can get.
All right.
I just want to make sure I have the right resolution here, though.
if you look under 23, you'll see, 'cause that's the one that deals with funding sources.
Yes, I'm sorry, it is 23.
Okay,
Yeah.
then let's have a motion. Let's do 23 last.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve item 22?
There is.
moved.
Second.
Second. Any objection? Hearing none, item passes. Is there a motion to approve item 24?
There is.
The second.
Second.
Any objection?
I object on item 24 in that I would like to have confirmation as to exactly whether or not the funding that we're anticipating is going to come through. So that's my stance.
Okay, we may be able to cover that in the amendment to 23, but I think we should note you as a no for the moment, and then, okay. So the item carries. 25.
So moved.
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none. We'll accept the grant from the Department of Commerce. Okay, now let's talk about your amendment to item 23.
Item 23. The first amendment is I would like to, in the second to last resolved paragraph at the top of the back page where it says, be it further resolved that prior to beginning construction, staff will return to the LA DWP Board of Commissioners for final authorization to issue the notice to proceed NTP when all funding has been finalized and secured. I'd like to add to that and to have the Economic Development Department present us with a business plan to show a pathway for return on investment of the DWP's investment in this project. So what I'm asking for is something formal so that you consider what we discussed today and come up and say this is how this is going to directly benefit DWP. So and I would want that as part of the notice to proceed consideration at that time.
I think that's a good concept. I think maybe if we frame it as, we clearly want to understand, right, the broad economic benefits to the department and the city, as well as other possible revenue enhancing. So we want to see the alternatives. Okay, so lay that entire spectrum out, and then we can kind of pick and choose as to what works for us. Is that
correct? Yes.
I like the way you framed it, President.
I can't say it again, but that's the...
No.
Well, it's on the record now, and I would endorse that.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
I have a question, though. So are we deferring making this investment until we get that information, or by making this amendment, are we agreeing to move forward with the project with the optimism that we're going to get news that we want to, that would be pleasing to us?
We'll move forward with 23, 24, and 25. And there's a max on 22 of 550,000. There's a max on 24 of 1.2 million. But the overall funding, the 33 million or 18 million, that's going to be contingent upon the information we receive. We'll vote on that amount.
But we're moving forward on these actions today, because before we expend those dollars, we will be back, Commissioner Noonan, in March or February, saying that we received the other funding. What we are, in all of the documents and the resolutions, we were trying to be very clear that we will not proceed to construction if we don't receive these other outside funding sources, and we will know all of those things by February or March when we will come back.
As a business,
and we cannot.
Well, we're all confused.
I want to just chime in for a second. It's my understanding that it's a chicken or egg thing, that there has to be a commitment by this body to move ahead before that triggers federal funding. And if we're equivocating, then it doesn't move forward from what I understand. So what we can say is that failing federal funding, we can rescind our actions. And so that's my understanding. Correct me if I'm mistaken.
That is correct.
Mr. Noonan?
Okay, because, you know, what I don't want to have happen is for you to appear before us again on this item and say, well, we didn't get the funding, so now we'd like your department to pay for even more. And so my clear on understanding that if we decide to pull out of the project entirely, we will not be committed to the $33 million?
Yes.
I think there's a $200,000 exposure with the architecture to move ahead with some designs, however.
Plus some with the BOE.
Well,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I should note that it's not an incremental $33 million that we're requesting here.
No, it's all.
Part of that is water already under the bridge, the land acquisition cost. The construction is closer to 20.
If I understood you correctly, you said about $7 million going forward.
Yes.
Okay. I have a part 2 to my motion.
Well, now you're amending the president's sales.
Well,
No, I was just talking concept. Why don't you state your amendment?
Okay, well, no, the part 2 was to address Commissioner Noonan's concern about the architectural contract, which is to also, when you come back with the notice to proceed, that you give us an accounting of what has actually been spent on the architectural contract in the BOE so that we have assurance that the numbers you've told us today are the numbers that you're going to spend. So that if you come back and say, we spent $500,000, that would be probably not well accepted by us.
So why don't you try to state the complete amendment?
Okay.
Parts A and Part B.
Okay, Part A and Part B. So on the paragraph where it talks about the notice to proceed, when all funding has been finalized and secured, and staff will present the board at that time with a business plan to outline the economic benefits of the LaCretz incubator project to DWP and to the city at large.
Yes.
And also to present an accounting of all expenditures of funds between now and when you come back to us on this matter.
Well done. Is there a second to the amendment?
There is.
All in favor of the amendment? Say
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to the amendment? Just the amendment, not the underlying resolution.
I know. I'm still not comfortable with this for the reasons that I stated, because of the vacancy and because I don't feel like there was enough outreach from other sources. And I know you don't need my vote, so I will keep my vote as opposed.
The amendment passes. Now let's vote on the motion as amended.
So moved.
Second.
One opposition? Okay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you for getting us through that tongue twister. Let's go back to item
21?
21.
Okay, I do have a speaker card for 21. That's Linda Romney.
Okay, it's good. I like what you said. No, you did not.
You spoke on 22.
Basically, my question was, I wanted to know what the amount of money was involved. But during the presentation on number 22, kind of basically got an idea as far as how many millions of dollars and tripling of our water. But again, I'd like to ask on the agenda items, would it not be possible to put the dollar amount down here so we know how many millions and billions of dollars we're talking about?
It's a fair point.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Who's presenting item 21?
Dave, there you go.
Do you want a presentation? You have direct questions, or?
I do not have questions.
Does anyone have questions on item 21? Okay. Is there a motion to approve item 21?
There is.
Second.
Hearing no objection, item 21 passes. Well done, guys. Thank you.
We appreciate your brevity.
Item 26?
Yes, item 26, I have 2 speaker cards for 26. Okay, the first speaker is Estela Lopez.
I think she may have.
Estela
She's outside.
Lopez, is she outside? Also on 26 is Tanner Blackman.
Tanner was here earlier.
I think they might have thought it was a little fast.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, so they're not present? Yeah. Okay, then that's all I had for 26.
So, does anyone have a question on item 26? If so, I'll get them up here.
If I might, Phil, have you talked to the esteemed Dr. Pickle on this subject matter?
Yes, we have. We have talked to Dr. Pickle about this ECAP adjustment as well as the quarterly water rate adjustments that the board has been used to seeing in past quarters.
All right. Thank you. That's all I need to know. I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Hearing no objection, item 26 passes. Item 27, is there a speaker?
Well, again, it's I have 4 cards, but 2 of them are the Estela Lopez and Tanner Blackman, so they're not present. And the other 2 for 27 is Fred Walty is the first speaker of the two left. Fred Walty, are you still here?
I think he left also.
Okay. And then the last one would be Michael Swords.
And he's gone.
He left too. Okay, those are the only ones I had for 27.
Commissioners have questions on item 27?
I put in one for 27.
Please, Ms. Romney.
The only other card I have for you is item 30.
That's okay. If you'd like to be heard on item 27, it's okay.
And actually, my comment is very basic. As you know, we just recently were hit with a 11% rate increase for the electric. And there was a graph. Dr. Pickle presented the graph to our outreach that we attended at the Greek Orthodox Church. Now I'm saying that there's a surplus for the Power Revenue Fund. So we have these hidden funds that are not disclosed to your ratepayer in your diagrams, and we have over $246 million that we now want to transfer because it's a surplus for the power to the city. And I'm just stating that if it was a surplus, it should have been presented at the time of the rate increase, because we were told not only is there going to be the 11%, but it's going to be followed by at least another 11% for the next 2 years after that. So what we're doing is we're taking the money from the ratepayer, which is the only party where you're getting the money. You have a surplus. You don't keep the energy costs the same. They're constantly going up. And then what happens is there isn't a constitutional vote by the public, by your ratepayers, but that money is just simply taken from the DWP and transferred to the city. And when it comes to $246 million and our bills continually going up, as a ratepayer, this is definitely not any type of transparency. In fact, you're not even communicating to the ratepayer that this is what's occurring. We know at the time when the city council approves the DWP expenditures that they automatically get an 8% or 9% of that monies. That's disclosed, but this money is not. It's held in a separate accounting process, and it's not included in that diagram. And I'm extremely disappointed in this type of a procedure. It means the ratepayer has no say whatsoever, and that this is a total and complete corrupt system. Thank you, and I'm sorry I have to use such strong words, but I believe this really states it.
Phil, you're going to present item 27?
I am, and I would like to point out that this transfer has been talked about in the presentation on our rates. This $246 million transfer is the 8% that we collect as part of our electric revenue rates. This is exactly the dollars that we're talking about. This is nothing new. This has been part of the department's operations for decades. This is a very commonly found mechanism in municipal utilities where a transfer is made to the general fund. Here in LA, it's 8%. The motion that we're asking you to approve is just to make the transfer. It is 8% based on the past fiscal year's revenue. The amount here, $246.5 million, is very close to what we had planned on when we set last year's budget. When you adopted the budget this past May, the amount that we contemplated was $248.9 million, so it's just $2.37 million short of that. In the attachment to this letter, there's a calculation that we have to run through to comply with our bond agreements to assure that we indeed have the financial capability to make this transfer. It can't exceed our net income, and it can't result in our debt to capitalization ratio exceeding a certain threshold. Both of those tests are met. These are funds that the city has come to rely on. They have planned for them in their budget. This is just implementing something that we had planned for the past year.
Questions from commissioners?
Just a clarification that the concept of the transfer from the power fund is in the charter, that the charter specifically says that the board may consider this and then further the board is obligated to follow its policy to do the 2 financial tests in order to make sure that we can do the transfer. Is that correct?
That is correct. The city's counting on these funds. We have the ability to make the payment. If the board opted not to make the payment, we would be required to provide an explanation to the city why it was not forthcoming.
Other questions? Is there a motion to approve item 27?
There is.
Is there a second?
Second.
Hearing no objections, item 27 passes. Item 28, is Cindy, or who's presenting this?
So, good afternoon, Mr. President and Commissioners. You have the item before you to get our Sacramento advocacy team on board. So we went through what I thought was a really good process in terms of the number of firms that had expressed an interest in wanting to do work for the department. We sent out the bid in May 23rd is when it was advertised. We had 6 firms that responded. 3 of them didn't meet the good faith effort, but then we interviewed basically all 6 firms, very strong firms. After going through a process, we have selected KP along with the Rutland Group, which is the minority business on the overall contract. They are, I think most of you are familiar with them, but a very strong firm in Sacramento, a very diverse base of clients, very well connected to leadership and committee chairs, also strong relationships in the regulatory arena at the Energy Commission, the Air Resources Board, Cal EPA, and a lot of the key agencies that we're working with. So the recommendation is to approve the agreement and have them start as soon as we possibly can, as we have our annual legislative planning session next week.
Questions or comments, Commissioners?
Commissioner Nunez. Thank you. Just one question. Why did only 6 out of the 18 respond? Did they give you reasons why?
They didn't give reasons. Yeah. No reasons on why they responded. But I have to say the firms that did apply were definitely some of the top firms in Sacramento.
No. In the board package, it said one of the firms subsequently dropped out due to conflicts. Was that like conflicts of interest? Or?
Yes. There were resolvable conflicts that they had.
If I may, in the future, if we have such a small minority responding out of a large group that expresses interest, would you mind following up with them? Because as a board, it's always interesting to us to know why people would express interest and then not follow through with the proposal. And that's something that as a board we're really working on. We've been learning over time that some people feel that the process may be too complicated. Knowing that there's a conflict really makes us understand why such few firms respond. But we definitely want to continue fostering a feeling of competitiveness with the people who do want to do business with the department.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know we went through a pretty lengthy process of even the selection that took a while, just primarily, I would say, because of the good faith effort and the complexities around that. So I do
Parker?
No, I just wanted to, there's a new set of members of the State Assembly and Senate, and you can say confidently that KP has positive relations with the party that seems to be in power right now.
Absolutely. And the Democrats are a diverse group of Democrats that come from different parts of the state, and many that won that were completely unexpected to win.
One might argue that the two-party system is alive and well, and they both exist inside the Democratic Party.
They absolutely do, especially this class.
I think this is something that is long overdue. While we work hard to keep our rates down, we really need to do a better job of protecting the interests of our ratepayers in Sacramento. Because it's not so much what is done for us in Sacramento, it's often what's done to us. And we have to minimize the negative impact of things that are going on. I like the firms that are involved. I know they're both very experienced, they're diverse, and I think they'll augment what Cindy and what your team has done in terms of really better positioning the utility as we go forward. So I've been very, very supportive of what you've done and the process. And quite frankly, I think getting 6 firms interested is pretty good. You know, I haven't done this a few times in my life, and interviewing 6 firms gives you a pretty good cross-section. Although I do agree with Commissioner Newton, it is good to find out why people are not going forward. But I think it's a pretty good cross-sample, and the firms were, again, all well-known firms. So I would support this. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, the item passes. Item 28. Item 29, I think that's Ms. Williams.
Good afternoon, President Sale and Commissioners. I'm Gwen Williams, the Director of Supply Chain Service, and accompanying me is Simon Zodu, who's the Interim Director of Supplier Diversity. And we're here this afternoon to present the amended Small Business Enterprise and Disabled Veterans Business Enterprise Opportunity Program. Just with a little bit of background, this board, the Business Inclusion Program incorporated by ED 14 in January of 2011 was to increase contracting opportunities for SBEs and disabled veteran business enterprises. On November 1, 2011, the Board of Commissioners adopted an SBE program for implementation, but wanted to make sure that the staff took all the steps that were necessary to accomplish that implementation. One of the things that staff did when I came on board was to conduct a vendor survey of our 11,000 vendors in our database to determine just how many of them were small businesses. And we also met with the minority business advocacy groups like the Latin Business Association, the African American Chamber, et cetera, to chat with them about what they'd like to see in the program. The key elements of the proposed program are these. The program is going to be based on SBE and DVBE goals. There will not be an MBE or MEBE-WEBE program. Staff will continue to track utilization of MEBE-WEBE subcontractors. We're going to ask the firms to identify, within the SBE community, are they minorities or are they women? We will accept multiple certifications for determining SBEs. We'll accept Metro's certifications for SBEs, the state certifications for SBEs. And at least for the first year, we're going to say that if you're a disadvantaged business enterprise, which is under the size standard for SBEs, we will accept those certifications as an SBE certification also. We're going to change the program a bit in that instead of having across the board 20% or 15 and 7 as it used to be, we're going to develop individual contract goals. So if there's an engineering services enabling agreement, similar to the one that we just recently awarded to AECOM and a lot of the other engineering firms, that goal might be as high as 30% because there are a lot of SBE firms that could provide those kinds of services. Whereas if we have a materials contract where there aren't very many SBEs available to do that work, it would have a smaller goal. The fourth item is bidders and proposers can meet the SBE DVBE goal or comply with the good faith effort requirement, not both. Now that's a big change because before everyone had to do good faith efforts. Cindy just alluded to some of the intricacies that she had with the solicitation for a legislative affairs contract because 3 of the bidders did not pass the good faith effort program, and one of them was a minority contractor who thought because they were a minority firm they didn't have to do good faith efforts. So that's going to change. So if they meet the goal, they won't have to do good faith efforts. Bidders or proposers will be required to submit letters of intent for each SBE or DVBE listed in their bidder proposal. That was one of the issues that came up as with the previous asphalt contract. So now, if you list someone in your contract, you're going to also have to provide a letter saying what work you're giving to them, what percentage, and that letter will have to be countersigned by the SBE firm or the DVBE firm. For purposes of counting participation, certified SBE or DVBE prime contractors will be given credit based on the percentage of work that they do. So again, if you're a minority firm, you get to count the fact that you're a minority firm, an SBE firm toward achieving the goal. The only caveat is, so that we don't have fronts, is that if you are trying to subcontract out 90% of the work, you won't be able to meet a 20% goal because you'd only be doing 10% of the work. So if you are doing the work with 100% of, your firm is doing all of the work, then you get to count all of that credit. The annual goal for the calendar year will be set to 20%. That's our aspirational goal for SBEs and 3% for DVBEs. And again, the individual solicitations or contracts could be over that or under that. And the other change that we're making is upon contract award, a letter of notification will be sent to the prime contractor and all subcontractors, so they can't say, well, we didn't even know we were listed. They will be notified by us that they're in the winning list. Comparison of the past and proposed programs, we used to have 15 and 7% MeBe-WeBe goal applied to all board award contracts, which was advertised with the requirement that everybody had to do good faith efforts. MeBe-WeBe prime contractors were required to perform good faith efforts, and participation as a MeBe-WeBe was not differentiated in counting participation toward meeting the goal. With the proposed program, GFE, as I stated, would only be required if they're not able to achieve the goal. Evaluation includes how participation is counted. For instance, if it's a broker and they won't count for 100%, they'll only count for the amount of their broker fee. For instance, in the asphalt paving, one of the subcontractors said, I'm a broker and I charge 3%. So in our scenario, they'd be counted toward 3%. GFE elements, we've revised the good faith effort element for those people that do have to perform it to incorporate active outreach participation, so it's not such a paper effort. One of the points that we've changed in there is they'll be given credit if they attend outreach, if they attend events that are put on by some of the advocacy groups, if they have a vendor fair, if the Latin Business Association group has a vendor fair, and the prime contractor can prove that they participated, then they'll be able to get points toward achieving a good faith effort. And again, the contract goals will be established based on the availability of subcontracting opportunities and the availability of SBE or DVB bidders or subcontractors. For the path forward, one of the things that we find is very, very important, because we've had some issues with it in the past, is that we're going to have internal orientation sessions for all contract administrators here at LADWP so that they clearly understand the SBE program and there's no problems in their interpretation as they're managing those contracts. So that'll be happening in December and January. January 15th is the date that we're saying any bids or proposals released after this date will have the SBE DVBE program that will be incorporated into the solicitation. In January through March, we're going to have external orientation sessions for prime contractors, vendors. So we're going to use our ERSP system and notify all 11,000 firms of these orientation sessions so that they can attend and have an opportunity to find out about the new program. In March, we're going to come back. We met with some of the advocacy firms, and one of the things that they were concerned about, they wanted us to have mandatory contracting goals for the Disabled Veterans Program because the county is contemplating it. They haven't passed a motion yet, and the state has mandatory contracting goals. But there's only 1,000 disabled veterans certified in the state, and most of them fall into either construction or in services. So we're reluctant to put mandatory goals in that category yet, but we did agree that we would go take a look into how we might modify it and come back to the board in March with any recommendations. The other recommendations that will come back in March, we've also thought that we would like to put goals on some of the non-board awarded contracts that are between $25,000 and $150,000. So we're going to go back and take a look at that also and come back to this board in March with any recommendations in that regard. In March of 2013, by that time we do hope to be able to negotiate with some of the firms that were awarded a contract with Metro to perform SBE certification services to see if we can piggyback on their contract and expand the pool of firms that actually have an SBE certification so that within a year that we'll have a larger pool of SBEs. And in April 2013, we're planning a very large, instead of Meet the Primes events, the advocate group said, well, it's always Meet the Primes, Meet the Primes. We'd like for you to emphasize Meet the SBEs and the DVBEs. So that's going to be our orientation. We hope to have that in April of 2013. So the net result is that we're hoping that we have developed a program that is less onerous for our prime contractors and our small business enterprises, and that will result in increased competition because of increased participation in LADWP contracts. And that's it.
Good. Questions or comments?
I just really want to applaud you. I think this is a major step forward, but I have one question, and it goes back to the slide that begins key elements of the proposed program. And I like the idea of setting different targets for different kinds of contracts, but my question is, who sets that criteria?
We'll be working with the technical staff to establish those targets. So the supplier diversity staff will be working with the technical staff to look at the subcontracting opportunities and to look at the number of firms that are available to do that work, and then we'll set the goal.
I would just offer advice that it might be good to get the blessing of this board on the criteria that you're setting so that you have a focus group of people who are knowledgeable in the areas of business and government who could at least offer their opinion if those targets are being set appropriately.
Okay, so so as we move, because we'll be setting them on a contract by contract basis. So.
I was thinking that you were thinking more along the lines of there are certain kinds of purchases.
Oh, categories? No, we were going on a contract by contract basis. Yes. I mean, that's typically
and that doesn't
how it's
open us
done.
up to criticism of appearing arbitrary.
You know, we're supposed to have backup documentation that walks us through what, and we will have backup documentation that says this is how we establish this goal. It's commonly done at other agencies that have targeted goals. If you look at Metro's website, you'll go on and you'll see that they've got ranging from 3% to 32% in terms of their targeted goals. And they have backup documentation in terms of how they arrived at that percentage.
I think after the program's in place 6 months, I think you should come back and give us a sense of how the targets have been set so we can review the process.
I mean, while there's a risk of being accused of being arbitrary, it also gives the department flexibility, because I know that there have been problems with contracts where the GFE became a joke because it really didn't apply to the industry or apply to that particular contract. So this is helpful.
But we are happy to come back with an interim report in 6 months.
Some period of time, just give us a sense.
Sounds great.
Mr. Noonan?
Okay. I also think this is a wonderful step forward, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would like to chime in because I've often been frustrated with how the GFE program was working, how it practically was coming back to us in terms of the board letters and such. I think this is really wonderful. Let's hope it works out real well.
I hope so too.
I applaud you.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, the item is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 30.
And I do have a speaker card for 30.
Okay.
Linda Romney.
Basically, I have the same question. What is the amount of money for the design, the fabrication, the installation of exhibits for the Children's Museum and the Environmental Learning Center? And I'm very frustrated. I think basically that the name of the Department of Water and Power should be changed. This isn't a Department of Water and Power. It's the Department of maybe redevelopment, water and power at the very end. I've sat here as millions of dollars have been given out to the Los Angeles Unified School District, to various universities, and actually paying the salaries of the individuals who are employed by Rec and Parks, of which the recipients stated on the record that they were very thankful that the monies were approved, otherwise they'd have to have layoffs. Quite frankly, at this time, with the economy the way it is, with your indigent city of Los Angeles 20% and up, I don't understand why we're constantly taking the ratepayers' money and allocating it to these outside pet projects instead of the core. And I know we'd like to do this, but the fact is that everything costs money. And the focus should be on the supply of your water, the supply of electric, and those necessary funds to take care of that to your ratepayer. That should be the responsibility of your ratepayer, not museums for children, not learning centers, not innovation, private sector acres that is purchased by the Department of Water and Power. I quite honestly believe that if we confined ourselves to the expenditures of those items necessary for the water and power, we wouldn't have additional rate increases. And the rate increases, if we were forced to have them, would be minuscule. Right now, that's not the case. So again, what is the amount of money we're talking about here? And could we please include that in the agenda so we know how much the ratepayers are being asked to fund these pet projects? Thank you.
Thank you. What's the pleasure? Do we have questions on this item? Oh, Wendy, come on up. Well, come on up anyway. Are there questions? You want a presentation? What's your sense? We've all read the material.
My sense is, quite frankly, I'm not persuaded by this item. So I remain open. I don't want to belabor things with the presentation, but I turn to my fellow commissioners and to our participant to convince me.
Why don't you raise your concerns?
My concern, quite frankly, is I don't think this is a proper expenditure for the department this time.
Tell us more.
Tell you more. I think that to set up museum exhibits at this time and spend $3.9 million doing so doesn't sit well with me. As much as being a product of the San Fernando Valley and being supportive generally of the Children's Museum, I just don't think that the department right now can afford to spend $3.9 million on museum exhibits.
Please.
Actually, I would like to give just maybe a 10-minute presentation, if you will. I'm going to say a few words. Saeed Ali from the community, the policy advisor, chief policy advisor for Councilmember Alarcon is here, as well as the CAO's office, who can speak to the financial background of this particular project, the public-private partnership that they envision, as well as Joe Adams from the Discovery Science Center, who can actually add a little bit of additional information, if you will, about the types of exhibits that we're talking about. But just so you'll know, Wendy Yancey, local government affairs as well as community relations. I'm going to ask Saeed and Bernice to join me while we have seats, and then we'll have Joe Adams to come up. But the background is, and you did have in your board package, the city did envision a children's museum a while back in the San Fernando Valley area. The shell of the building was actually constructed, but due to certain obstacles, it was never completed. Fast forward to today, the city has come up with a funding path as well as a new scope of work, if you will, and they're going to convert it into a discovery center, a science center, which would benefit the department by actually, we have a big push now to discuss and actually educate our customers as it relates to water conservation and energy efficiency. So we'll start with exhibits, if you will, that will take our story about water and where it comes from and how it gets here, and then tie it into water conservation as well as, and then energy. The tie-in again is they're going to be talking about waterways all the way from the Sierras. There's a tie-in for our power system, and then into energy efficiency. This is important to the department at this time because, as we know, both of those commodities, if you will, we're trying to we're transforming our power system as well as conserving water because we know that the sources of water are limited. So with that, I was actually very excited because when I did see some of the initial renderings for the water exhibit, which by the way would be over 7,000 square feet, Reckitt Parks is actually leasing the land the building to the Discovery Science Center for about 30 years. So this is something that's going to be sustainable for a very long time to help the department. Again, it is immersive, it's educational, and they call them visitors, I call them young people, but they will actually have a hands-on ability to learn about water and power, as well as how to use both efficiently and conserve. So one exhibit, for example, had to do with, they call it an aquavator. And it was just interesting to me, I do have an engineering background, but because they would have an elevator system somehow in this facility, and they would actually go through the different stratosphere, if you will, and the visitor could learn about what happens with an aquifer and how we make use of that and why it's a precious resource. And so with that, and again, with community relations, I wanted to point out that we do have an exhibit program. And that program, we actually we have portable exhibits, if you will. And so this would actually take it to a whole nother level because the portable exhibits, if you can imagine, they're very static. I think our children's exhibit, which is one of our most requested exhibits, it's a coloring whiteboard type exhibit. This takes everything to a whole different level. And children will be able to hopefully not form the habits that some of us may have already formed. They'll learn at an early age. And one of the quotes that I thought that would really be summarize the whole exhibit strategy would be that this particular, it's a completely unique and innovative breed of hands-on exhibits that not only interact with children and their parents, but the fact that this interaction actually invokes measurable behavioral change. And so when Joe Adams comes up, I think he'll be able to address how they penetrate the community in the different grade levels to measure these particular changes. So with that, I'll turn it to Saeed.
Thank you. Mr. President and members of the board, staff, the Department of Water and Power, thank you very much. My name is Saeed Ali. I work for Councilmember Richard Alarcon. And if I wink at you, what I should is because I had eye surgery last week. It's my first day out of bed. But I thought this was important to be here today. I've been working on this project for about 5 years. And I think one of the things that we have struggled with is something very simple but very critical, which is the name. It's called Children's Museum of LA. The site was purchased by when Councilmember Alarcon was first in office in the 1990s for an environmental educational center. And when the City Council set up the Children's Museum there, it is supposed to be called an Environmental Educational Children's Museum. But the name by which it is named is Children's Museum. And I thought about that while I was listening to your comment, Commissioner Moss, because the goal for the request to the department, to the board, is for environmental education through a very credible, well-known, and established operator in Santa Ana who has demonstrated record working with just about every water agency in Orange County, the power businesses in Orange County, and with the school system. So they have, and they'll be able to talk to you about that. And the reason I can speak about that with some confidence is then when a council member came back to the council in 2007, as you all probably know, this whole enterprise just about collapsed and went into bankruptcy court. So the direction I got as staff person was, should we do anything about this? This was not Councilman Alarcon's problem. It was someone else's problem. My recommendation to him, after looking at it in all kinds of different ways and working very closely with the mayor's staff, the CAO, the CLA, Parks and Rec, the city attorney, is that the city had a lot to gain by getting this project and getting it done right. And the last point is the critical point. So what has transpired to make it right? First, we have found a very credible operator with a record, a demonstrated record, working cooperatively with agencies that have an economic interest in promoting conservation and education about the environment. Secondly, working closely with the agencies of the city that I've named, coming up with a credible financial plan so that we are not going to collapse one more time while we do this. And thirdly, that there will be a benefit to the city departments and others that we can demonstrate. And that is the plan that we hope to present to you very briefly today, and then answer any questions you might have. And I think after listening to it, you might consider that this would be a good investment for the board and for the department. I have with me Bernice Hollins from the CAO's office, as well as the representative from the CLA.
Good afternoon. During the last 2 years, the city partners have been working collaboratively with the Discovery Science Center to establish an operational model that has long-term sustainability based on surveys of the local market as well as Discovery Science Center's experience as an industry leader. The project has received broad support over the course of its history with significant levels of investment from both the private industry and public support. Inclusive of the $3.9 million that's requested from this body, sufficient funds have been identified to fully fund the exhibit program and open the facility by March 2015, which is the state grant liquidation deadline for opening the museum. There is time sensitivity at this point for securing the balance of capital funds. We do have a $3.2 million allocation of new market tax credit funds that are being reserved for the project. Those monies are being reserved until the end of the year on the condition that the balance of funds for the capital program are fully committed. Subject to approval.
To the end of this year.
This year, yes.
Okay.
Subject, but we're in line for meeting that deadline. Subject to approval of this body, there's a report that will be transmitted to council for consideration prior to the council recess that will provide the balance of authorities needed to proceed with the project. Once this occurs, the project will proceed into active development. There's an 18-month timeline for completion of design and development. Once, assuming the monies are in place by end of this calendar year, we will actually have 27 months to complete the project, so providing a very good time cushion to address any unforeseen conditions. But given Discovery Science Center's track record as an industry leader, the vested interest of the various partners contributing to this project, we are very confident that this project will be overwhelmingly successful once it opens, and that it will provide very valuable services to both the city and its residents.
Wendy, Mr. Adams?
This is Joe Adams from the Discovery Science Center.
Good afternoon, Honorable President and board members. I'm Joe Adams. I'm president of the Science Center. I'm excited to be here today to talk about an opportunity. So the Science Center, a little bit of who we are. We see over 500,000 visitors. We just came off our biggest year ever. We partner, as it was mentioned, with every water district in Orange County, every one of them. We do their water education program annually, and we see over 180,000 kids in the whole message about water conservation. And not only in Orange County, but we have contracts with Upper St. Gabriel Valley Water District and Western Municipal Water District. So we are throughout the region in water education, and specifically on the concepts of water conservation. Now, why do all these water districts partner with us? It's because we believe in a hands-on message and way to communicate to kids and change behaviors that will last a lifetime. Now, a lifetime of modifying their behaviors, whether it's electricity efficiencies and conserving the power that's going on in their homes, to how much water they're using on a daily basis. This is not immaterial. This is millions of dollars when you look at millions of kids and families coming through and spending not just a message about, oh, conserve water and go on. You spend, it is envisioned with both what we do at the Science Center, but also what we're going to do in Los Angeles, over an hour role-playing and playing with topics of science and hands-on and these concepts. We just created another partnership with the Waste District in Orange County. It's called the Eco Challenge. It won the Silver Award for the best environmental exhibit in the nation. They partnered with us to talk about how to reduce the amount of waste that's going into landfills. So we have great exhibits that are nationally recognized. We're partnered with water districts across the whole region, and we're excited about the opportunity here now in Los Angeles. My background, I've been at the Science Center for 10 years as their president. I built theme parks for Disney Company. Before that, though, I was a power guy. I built power plants. I built transmission lines. I started digging a ditch, putting residents, hooking up the generators and hooking up their power lines to their meters. And so I have a passion for power and efficiency. It's in my blood. And I'm excited that I can come back and do exhibits that communicate to the entire community of Los Angeles about ways to be more efficient. So where I'm looking at that is this is a regional impact. The Science Center, when you look at who's coming to us, half of our visitors are from Orange County, but 25% come from Los Angeles County. And another 25% come from the Inland Empire. We are regional. And I see the exact same thing happening out of our center up at Hanson Dam. So it's a center, but it is going to be very regional. It'll have wide impact. And so I'm excited about partnering. The time is now. It's easy. The exhibits are not exactly designed, so I look forward to working with the Department of Water and Power to influence and tweak and make sure that your messages are put into the exhibit. But we have to do that now. As time will continue to roll on, the exhibits get firmer. But so whoever from your staff that we would be working with, we're excited to partner on that front too. So hopefully you can consider investment with us.
So I have a question.
Sure.
I understand and support the benefit of educating children on conservation. The question is there any evidence to show that this education ultimately benefits the parents of the children in terms of their consumption patterns?
That's a good question. I constantly get that messages from parents where their kids are nagging at them on the behaviors. That we've changed the behaviors of the kids, but when they see mom and dad throwing something away or leaving the water on when they're brushing their teeth, they say, hey, we've been trained at school not to do this. And anybody who are parents with kids, and I have 3 of them, you know that once you start to change the behavior of kids, they talk to you. So for sure, although we are a museum aimed at children, it does impact the parents as well with the programming. And when it was mentioned earlier about metrics, what we do with our metrics and our water district programs, because we have boards that we have to report to, and we have to talk about how is our programs effective, and every year they got to sit there and say, yes, we're going to re-up again for another partnership with the Science Center. And what we have to do is we go through pre- and post-testing of the kids, so we know how much you know about water coming into one of our programs, and water conservation in particular, and then we'll do then we'll do our program, and then we test afterwards. And we see impacts of up to 84% of the students get the messages, retain the messages that we input into the hands-on learning in the programming. And so we're excited about those kind of results. And what we do is every year we relook at it, and sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, sometimes we have to tweak the program, and that's part of our continuous improvement programs as we work on it. But there is metrics that we'd be happy to share, and we have shared with Ron before.
I think it'd be great if you added a parent metric, by the way.
We haven't done that one, though, yet.
That's a good thought. Commissioner Moss?
Go ahead.
I just want to quickly ask just one question. How would you contrast the Discovery Center that's proposed for Hanson Dam with the Science Center and Exposition Park? And how would you distinguish yourself in your outreach to children?
Well, we're regional, and in that we're going to be located up in the Valley area, so I think we'll have an immediate impact to everybody in the Valley. The Science Center, they're a wonderful Science Center, And when I look at the Science Center in Exposition Park, they are very, very, very collections-based. They just got the space shuttle. They, if you go there, they got tons of physical, wonderful, inspirational exhibits that are more about their collections that they've acquired. We are programmatic-based, which means that our programs and our exhibits are much more centered on missions and the messages of our partners and on the educational, what the kids need to know in the classroom. We have a Making the Grade program, which is aimed at all 20 subjects within the science standards that teachers are supposed to be teaching. We help with a program with hands-on exhibits that explain those concepts. So I think that's kind of the difference, is a large collection-based that is more about everybody coming to them. Probably the other side is that we are the third largest science center in the nation in outreach programs into classrooms, which means that once we're in the area, we're able to have teachers go out into the community, and we see over 220,000 kids, a whole separate number than the 500,000, in the classroom doing similar programs in water and power education. And they don't do that.
Other questions? Commissioner Noonan? Commissioner Noonan?
Thank you. Actually, Mr. McDaniel, this question is for you. I know that when we approved our last fiscal budget, that we did have to reduce our education outreach about conservation, but I know that there were still funds left there. Is there still enough funds left to support this program?
Yeah, for our share of it, it's going to be approximately 25%. We have that budgeted, that's designated in the budget for the single prepared store.
What do you mean by our share of it?
Well, I think the staff has informed me it's like a 75-25 split between water and power on this.
So Aaron, same question to you. Do you have educational funding in the budget that's unspent?
We do have funds in the budget for, but it wasn't dedicated for this purpose, but we have to repurpose it.
What was it dedicated for?
We had other programs. I can get the details for you.
Well, I'm still not convinced, guys. Let me ask some more questions. Perhaps you can convince me. In the MOU, there's a paragraph G under the article that talks about the scope of work to be completed, and it says LADWP will work with Recreation and Parks on Exhibit E of the lease agreement. This exhibit will govern the design, construction, installation of the center's exhibits, the financing and disbursement of payments for the center, improvements and exhibits, and other matters related to the existing building on site. What does that mean?
In their lease agreement, Rec and Parks has to develop how they're going to go about the exhibits and when they're going to disperse payments, et cetera. And we're going to be sitting at the table with them as they form this exhibit, which gives guidance as to the design, fabrication, and payment.
So the money that DW, the 3.9 that you're asking for, is that going 100% and exclusively to the exhibits that DWP is going to have there?
That is our...
So not one dime is going to go to anything else in the building, or any operations and maintenance, or any financing costs, or anything like that?
Exactly. And
Is that...
That's correct.
So do we have a budget for the exhibits?
Yeah, well, that's the 3.9 million. That's our...
Do you have a budget that breaks down the cost of the exhibits? I mean, why can the exhibits be $1 million? And could we get the same bang for our buck, so to speak, at $1 million as opposed to 3.9?
Well, we carved the budget down from 5 million down to 3.9, specifically to look at water and power related exhibits. The
you have a copy of the budget?
I understand what you're saying. You could fund less, but now it doesn't help us with the new market tax credits that we're trying to achieve. Well,
that's the other part. Is what happens if we don't approve the $3.9 million? What happens to the museum? What happens to your capital stack and your funding source?
We would have to go back and identify additional monies to backfill, and we would not be able to implement on the current timeline.
Okay, I guess what I'm seeing here is I'm sensing that there's a little bit of a bait and switch, that really you're asking us to contribute 3.9 to your capital stack so that you can qualify for the new market tax credits, and it's less about the exhibit, but it's being kind of presented to us today as though it's about exhibits for the DWP. I'm a little suspicious the presentation here.
If I could clarify just a few points. Originally, the funding request per exhibit was $3.6 million, and that number is derived based on the most recent cost that Discovery Science Center has incurred for its recent, the ecosystem. It's the last one that was done. So it's based on recent experience of what an exhibit will cost. Because due to the funding that you had available, you could not accommodate the full cost of 2 exhibits. So instead of requesting over $7.2 million for 2 exhibits, we've come down to $3.9 million, which reflects more of the budget gap, not the overall cost of those 2 exhibits. So you're actually getting more value than what's reflected in the cost of the exhibits. Now, in terms of a detailed budget for the water and power components, that can't really be put together until we have input from your staff on what concepts you're interested in and specifically what type of format you want for the exhibit. So that information, unfortunately, has to be developed in conjunction with DWP.
I see. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Noonan?
That's it for me.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to approve the item.
Is there a second?
So second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections?
Aye.
Matter passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 31.
Yes. Item 31, who's presenting, please?
Hi, good afternoon. Cliff Bain, Assistant Director of IT, and I have with me Robert Irvin. He's a Director of Systems from Department of Public Works, Bureau of Sanitation.
Welcome. Do you have a presentation to make?
Sure. What you have before you is an amendment to the existing contract that we have with 3DI. 3DI was the contractor that was awarded the contract to help redesign LADWP.com. As you know, LADWP.com has been redesigned and has been successful. And so this amendment will allow us to work with Bureau of Sanitation on creating a customer portal for Bureau of Sanitation. In addition, there's a portion for DWP where we will take our intranet sites and bring it into using the same technology that we use for LADWP.com. And so it's roughly about $2 million. $1.5 million will be paid for by Bureau of Sanitation. LADWP's portion of it is $500,000.
And what's the, may I ask what's the benefit, the $500,000 to DWP?
Yeah, so we use a different technology for LADWP.com, and the plan is to bring the intranet sites to use the same technology. That way, rather than creating content in the intranet versus the internet, you'll have a unified view of the content and be able to bring content between the two seamlessly. In addition, there's some upgrades to many of the intranet sites we have been putting off in terms of redesign and everything, pending using the newer technology for it.
All right. My fellow commissioners, do you have questions or comments related to this item?
I only have one question. Why was the redesign required? You know, what changes are being incorporated now that weren't thought of during the initial design implementation?
Are you talking about the intranet, or are you talking about the Bureau of Sanitation portion of it?
I'm talking about the intranet.
The intranet?
Mm-hmm.
So when we did the upgrade to LADWP.com, it was focused on the internet only. We didn't actually touch any of the intranet sites. Mm-hmm. So this is really to now do the intranet sites that wasn't part of the initial rollout. Well, and I mean, it was thought of when we initially did the bid, but then when it came to the commission for approval, it was scaled back so that it would just focus on the internet site.
Can you show me in the MOU with the Bureau of Sanitation where the Bureau is agreeing to pay the Was it the 1.2 million?
No, $1.5 million.
$1.5 million?
Okay, so first I should point out to you the MOU isn't before you. We will bring the MOU before you separately as a separate item. This is just a draft of the MOU. And the version that you have in your packages is a older draft of it. But even in that draft, I believe there was a section in there where under payments where it says that Bureau of Sanitation has agreed to pay for their portion of it using their solid resources fund, I believe.
That's correct, yeah.
Are you talking about section 7.1?
Yes, I think of that.
But it doesn't have an amount or anywhere in the MOU.
I think that was corrected in a later version.
I think it was, yeah.
All right, so we don't have the latest version?
You don't have the latest version, and we're not asking for approval of the MOU.
Okay, so
the MOU
we
will be
amend the
done.
contract to do all this, and let's say we're not able to get the MOU sufficiently done with Bureau of Sanitation, then what is our liability under the contract?
We have the usual termination clauses within the contract. Also, it's task order based, so since we would not have issued any task orders, we wouldn't have any liability.
Okay, well, then I think what we'll need to do is probably amend the resolution to provide that DWP can spend, or the DWP portion.
Thank you.
But not, anything else unless the MOU is approved by us.
I would ask the board secretary, were you able to capture Commissioner Moss's amendment?
Yeah, I will.
You have that? All right. As amended, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no objections, item passes. Thank you.
No, thank you.
So the filed items, we have the water system report, power system report, system support division, financial services. Are there comments from the commission? I actually have a couple questions. So Gary, first off, how's the CIS doing? Are we on target? Are we going to get there within the next few months?
We are currently on target to go live April 22nd, 2013.
That's very exciting. Thank you. And I have a question for the power system. Aram, I read that there are delays at Pine Tree Solar. Have those been resolved?
Yes, we actually had the delivery of the skids. There was a delay in the material that for the inverters.
Right.
And it was a testing issue, and then the company resolved that issue, and then we got the delivery a couple days ago.
There was somewhat of a delay, though, over a couple of months, or?
It wasn't a couple months. It was we had to reschedule the crews to do other things, waiting on this because this is critical for commissioning. So we have a setback, but it's not a big timeline.
So you were on the skids, in other words?
And it's not exactly the time of year that you're looking at solar, but yeah. So also I read that the LAX new substation, that LAWA built it without first consulting with us and going to our standards, and have those issues been rectified?
We are working through those. We are constantly talking with the redesign and the development to make sure reliability is kept up.
And I was going to ask a question of Mr. McDaniel, but he's not here right now. So I will not ask that question. I just want to know, after the atmospheric river event that dumped a lot of precipitation on the Sierra Nevada, how we're doing.
I can address that.
You can.
We're doing.
Bill's a meteorologist.
No, I was provided the data given all the concerns we had last year. We had our fingers crossed that we wouldn't have a repeat, and so far so good. We're just a very short amount into the season,
right.
But the trend line is above average. So again, we'll keep our fingers crossed that trend continues.
Well, Phil, since you're so knowledgeable, can you tell me how Headworks is doing right now? Are we on time?
That I can't tell you.
All right, well, that won't be a first. So, not with you, Phil, but generally. So, are there other questions related to the filed items? We do have a report, from what I understand.
David Jaco will be making a presentation on a semi-annual update of our energy efficiency program.
Thank you. Mr. Jaco?
Thank you, Commissioners.
And David? You know, all of us, all the commissioners really appreciate your work, so my suggestion would be to give us the most abbreviated presentation that you can, right?
Well, I was just getting
We
ready
already
to-
like you.
I was just getting ready to say good evening, commissioners.
That's right.
So in the spirit of that, yes, I will keep it abbreviated. Okay, what I'd like to do is just take us really quick through where the background of getting to the budget approval, and then what we've done since then in terms of planning and implementation of the energy efficiency portfolio. Back in 2011, as you know, we had a board-adopted goal of 8.6%. As I recall, as I've heard, Commissioner Moss thought we could do better. A lot of us thought we could do better. And so upon further evaluation, we decided to adopt on May 24th the 10% hard target and a 15% target by 2020 through energy efficiency. Now that will be firmed up or not depending on the outcome of the 2013 potential study, which is underway currently. The results of that are due in mid-2013. But on that same day, we adopted budgets of $127 million for the fiscal year 2012-13 and $138 million for fiscal year 2013-14 to begin laying the foundation for a portfolio of programs to achieve those targets. That was more money than the department has, I believe, previously ever allocated to energy efficiency for a 2-year program cycle, and indeed is commensurate now with what the IOUs are investing in energy efficiency. It's commensurate on a per ratepayer basis with what Southern California Edison, the electric IOU locally, is investing in energy efficiency. So with that money came a lot of interest in making sure it was allocated in a fair way across customer segments, program initiatives throughout the city to maximize benefit on a number of dimensions. And those dimensions were codified by this board on August 8th in the form of guiding principles with the support of a broad range of stakeholders. I won't read these verbatim. I'll summarize them very quickly. There's 8 of them. But these guiding principles were that we would serve all customers and all their energy end uses. We would help residential customers, commercial customers, and industrial customers achieve ultra-high levels of energy efficiency throughout their entire facilities. Eligible low-income customers would also be served, well served through these programs. We would leverage these programs for continued development of green jobs throughout the local workforce and quality skilled jobs. We're dedicated to being transparent with what we're doing with the portfolio, regular reporting, regular results verification, performance measurement, and tracking those actual realized savings to make sure that if we're banking our procurement plan on 10% energy efficiency at least by 2020, those savings are actually materializing. And the last one was we would work through community-based organizations very closely to reach hard-to-reach customers such as small business, low-income, and multifamily customers. Another thing we did, very exciting, was on August 23rd, we entered a master interutility agreement, kind of a master MOU with the gas company. You guys approved that, too. And that allows us to co-fund programs with the gas company, allowing us to leverage each other's programs where they already exist, number one, and more importantly, actually integrate our electric, gas, and water measures into single programs at a single touch point with customers, such that customers can get 4 positive bill impacts from one project. 4, electric, gas, water, and sewer, because the sewer is pegged to the water. This also had broad support. Okay, so with that background, it then leads us to how the portfolio is organized. And without getting into a ton of detail around how you can do customer segmentation, but you do want to start with the customer. Very broadly, there's 2 overarching segments of customers, residential and non-residential. Non-residential is also known as commercial, industrial, and institutional. Those different types of customers have different market barriers. You want programs that are designed to address their particular market barriers. There's also two main programmatic ways to encouraging energy efficiency, to directly encouraging energy efficiency by working with individual customers. One is through incentive programs, the other is through direct install programs. Direct install programs are where we send out staff and we do the work and we provide the materials and the labor. It's just fully turnkey to the customer, zero cost. That's primarily for low, moderate, and fixed income customers. Customers who have such market barriers to the adoption of energy efficiency, there's no other way they're going to do it besides if you just go out there and give it to them. Incentive programs are for everybody else. Those are for the larger or more sophisticated, better off residential customers that have the wherewithal to make an investment in energy efficiency, but have other barriers to doing so, and incentives and as well as education and technical resources can help overcome their barriers. Okay, this one looks like an eye chart, and it kind of is. I'll spend some time on this, but I'll orient you to it first. This is a list of all the programs that we currently have, that we're now in the process of launching or currently have active. So the second column is the programs column. The first column identifies the segment, and it's residential, non-residential, and then a cross-cutting segment, and I'll talk about what that is last. So the programs basically are split up between residential and non-residential. The third and fourth columns address whether it's an incentive program or a direct install program. And the remainder of the columns identify those programs that we're moving forward with currently in our partnership with the gas company to implement on a joint basis, including who the lead is and when the expected launch is. Finally, on the program column, the bold font programs are the new ones of the portfolio. And just eyeballing it, about half the programs are new and about half are continuing. I'll focus a little bit more on the new ones. Within the residential area, the Home Energy Improvement Program is the direct install job program through our DWP staff. Low-income refrigerator exchange is continuing as also a direct install refrigerator swap-out program. Refrigerator recycling is continuing. The consumer rebate program, which is for appliances, cool roofs, Commissioner Parfrey, cool roofs are in there. And as well as pool pumps and appliances and a number of other rebatable on a per measure type measures that customers are adopting. Energy Upgrade California is a comprehensive whole house program offered by the statewide IOUs in California, and we're buying into that through our partnership with the gas company. It's an incentive program, so customers do connect through a contractor to do that work, but it's comprehensive, systemic upgrades to the house. And we're planning to launch that in January of 2013. California Advanced Homes is the residential new construction statewide program. And you'll start to see a trend here with these statewide programs. We're entering into that with SoCal Gas also launching in January. That works through production home builders, and they participate in the program. We call it an upstream program because we work with the production home builders to build efficiency into their product on a production basis before it even goes for sale to the market. Because if you try to get the new home buyer, it's already a retrofit project. It's too late to attack the entire or address the entire development systemically. That rounds out the residential programs. The non-residential programs, the small business direct install, that's also delivered by DWP staff primarily. And targets small businesses under 30 kW. LAUSD direct install, that's part of our larger Conserving for Our Kids effort, and that's working in concert, our staff, our field folks with LAUSDs to implement what are turning out to be quite large energy efficiency projects in various schools. That one, we've already got boots on the ground on that one. And we're also, through both of this one and small business, partnering with SoCal Gas, but we're the lead on these, and we expect that formalized relationship with us as the lead, funneling gas company resources into these projects will be in place no later than February of 2013, perhaps sooner. But that's where we'll have, in those we'll be delivering gas, electric, and water measures to the small businesses and LAUSD schools. DWP facility upgrades, that continues, and that's part of the mayor's directive to all city departments to effect all cost-effective energy efficiency in their own facilities, and we have that phased. These are all ongoing programs. The next ones, commercial lighting efficiency offer, lighting retrofit, chiller efficiency program for chillers, refrigeration for refrigeration, and custom performance, which is anything that isn't already in one of those other programs. But these are all continuing. They're generally vendor-driven programs where contractors are aware of these programs and use them to sell their projects to their customers. Kind of the same way the Energy Upgrade California program is structured on the residential side. Custom Plus is indicated as not applicable on incentive or direct install because it doesn't pay incentives. But what it does do is address market barriers that are present for customers other than capital cost. In other words, where they don't know what their opportunity is and they don't know how to proceed with a project, the Custom Plus offering provides those technical services. It's a bundling of technical services. Retro Commissioning Express, it was a pilot, but we've adopted it in-house and as a new offering in conjunction with SoCal Gas, where we're the lead, and this one's already launched in October. We're just starting to get some uptake. We don't have any completed projects yet, but we do have several projects that we're working on. Savings by Design, last of the non-residential programs. This is a companion program to the California Advanced Homes program. This is new construction on the commercial side or the non-residential side. Again, it works more upstream than downstream. It works with architects and engineers, engineering firms, to sell them the ability to then deliver that higher value to their clients through higher efficiency buildings. And it has incentives for both the customers to adopt the designs and the architects and engineers to participate in the design process. That's also a statewide program. So when I say statewide, I mean one that's offered by the IOUs, the investor-owned utilities. There's a lot of, I think, capital for us to be gained by partnering into these existing programs. One, we're addressing markets we're not currently addressing, such as commercial and residential new construction and the whole home retrofit market. And two, we're leveraging an infrastructure and a brand equity that's already in place. So we're not reinventing the wheel for no good reason. And third, all three of those we're leveraging SoCal Gas's delivery infrastructure. So that's the incentive programs. The cross-cutting section, these are larger efforts. Again, these are either funnel filling or pump priming type activities. Emerging technologies, that kind of goes with the clean tech stuff you heard earlier. But we'll have more of a focus on commercializing technologies that are already proven from a technological standpoint. That's key. We're not looking to do our R&D, the CEC through their peer program and the IOUs through their participation in that contribute a lot of money to that already. We're looking at taking what's coming out of that and then how can we commercialize it and build it into our programs and incentivize it and really ramp up the uptake of those technologies. So it's staying on the cutting edge of what's already proven from a technological standpoint. Codes and standards, we've done a lot of great work there on the water side already, and we're looking how we can expand that in support of standards development and also REACH codes. Community partnership grants, that's a continuation of an ERA-funded program, but we've internalized that. That's a funnel-filling program that helps load the pipeline for the core programs that we've got. And that also works through the community-based organizations. Finally, on-bill financing, I know that's one that's of a lot of interest. We don't have the timeline fully nailed down on that yet. We expect next year, second quarter. But that's dependent a lot on the gas company's progression with the CPUC, the California Public Utilities Commission, which has directed what they're doing in terms of financing. But they're eager for us to partner into their projects.
And Mr. Jaco, I noticed that you have Southern California Gas Company as the lead on that. So would LADWP be taking on some of the financial risk associated with on-bill financing, or would that go wholly over to Southern California Gas Company?
Neither. We anticipate that by the time we're ready, by the time the gas company is ready for us to participate with them, it will be they will have third-party lenders lined up. So the gas company has the lead in having or offering the on-bill repayment mechanism. So they've got their billing system set up such that the bill can be paid back on the loan can be paid back on the bill as a separate line item. We do have it built into Syscon, the Syscon planning to have that capability, but that's going to be sometime next year. The gas company and frankly, from my experience with this program previously, with on-bill financing previously, I think it's a good thing that we work with the gas company, given they've got a 6-year head start and working the bugs out of it. And there can be challenges operationally. So,
But they would be doing the billing as well?
They would do the billing, exactly. They would bill for the loan. So how it would work is a project that had combined gas and electric measures would have a certain cost, and a lender, a third-party lender, would sign on to fund that project, and then the repayment amount would appear on the gas company bill as a line item.
Thank you.
Okay, I knew we'd spend a good amount on that one. The rest, that frankly was the meat. The rest of it, I just wanted to tie back to some highlights on how we're supporting the guiding principles that this board adopted through that portfolio I just took you through, and then conclude with some next steps, some immediate next steps. So in terms of serving all customer segments and energy end uses, I think we think our partnership with SoCalGas puts us well down the path on that, and also just the fact that we're offering a complete suite of residential and non-residential programs that serve all customer segments as well as all facility types, whether they're new construction, retrofit, or a retro commissioning opportunity. I think we've addressed that.
David, could you skip to page 14, please? I just in a matter of wrapping up, if you don't mind, going to the slide that says immediate next steps.
Sure.
That would be very helpful.
Okay. Immediately what we're working on right now is establishing, now that we've got the portfolio planned out and detailed, we're establishing regular KPI reporting, key performance indicators, a best practice in the management of any business, having a frequent reporting of results, obviously establishing targets, but tracking progress towards those targets, and then wrapping it into an overall portfolio dashboard. When that is created, we'll be happy to furnish that to the board on a regular basis. Great. As well as how it shows with the monthly trending. Another one, we're working on marketing collateral. We have to think in terms of what's customer-facing for our programs. Like I said earlier, we've got a refrigeration program and a lighting program and a chiller program. Customers don't necessarily think that way. They think, I got a building. What do you offer that can help me? And so the marketing collateral is where we tie it all together from a customer-facing, customer segment basis. We're currently developing one-pagers for all these programs. Again, that doesn't quite get us there, but it's a good start, at least in terms of having a small packet of information that can be handed that gives a good synopsis of our portfolio quickly. But ultimately, we'll have segment guides, customer segment guides, and those can be atomized and disaggregated as much as you want by segments. Certainly commercial, industrial, institutional, but restaurants, small warehouses, small manufacturing facilities, schools, retail, those are some fairly standard levels of targeting for these programs. On the residential side, certainly low income versus non-low income, single family and multifamily are good ways to segment it. And finally, this is exciting. In February, we'll be conducting joint training for LADWP and SoCalGas account executives on all those joint programs that we've been putting together, so that either workforce, either account rep force, is equipped to sell the other programs.
That's really great. Thank you very much, David. The commissioners have questions on this presentation?
No, just a statement that I think that the presentation is very good. I've also benefited from a separate meeting with David where he went over to all this. So I think it's fantastic, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I feel the same way, so thank you for all your hard work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. McDaniel, you were out of the room when I was curious to hear the status of the Headworks construction, and are we meeting our deadlines?
Yeah, Headworks is on schedule. We've released a couple of through the CMAR process, we've released a couple of the construction packages, and pricing is coming in below the estimates right now, so we think we should be able to bring the overall project in. We have hopes of bringing the overall project in below what the authorized amount from the board.
Oh, that's really exciting. That's great. And one of the other filed items is the annual Owens Valley report. Could you characterize what's in that report, please?
It's basically just the status of various projects in there. We've got many of the items that that you and Commissioner Noonan have sat in as part of standing committee. We've got updates on standing committee items. There's an update on the progress on the Owens Lake, kind of a smaller part. Most of the report tends to focus on the water agreement items there, and it's mostly continuing on progress. Probably the biggest issue that we've had is the Black Rock 94 controversy, and so provided kind of an update of where we're at on that.
Thank you. Are there questions from the commissioners related to the final items or the management reports, the RPS update, and the legislative regulatory updates? All right, so Mr. City Attorney.
The board shall go into closed session and publicly report any action taken in closed session and the vote or abstention of every member thereon.
Meeting adjourned? No, meeting, no.
Let's just do it here.
Do it here?
We're having our closed session. We will report back. Thank you. If any action.
I think we're going to have to go into that.
We have to go in the back. All right.
Okay.
Sorry.
Issue the conference? You need 10 minutes? You need more? Just, okay.
Tom?
Yes.
Since we don't have a door,